Yes, this is another episode in our ongoing World of Darkness campaign, session number 18, I believe. We have the whole party joining us today, more or less. Let's start out with Bible verse for the session from Mr. Shad Viano Feroz.
Is this the city that was called the perfection of beauty, the joy of all the earth? All your enemies rail against you. They hiss, they gnash their teeth, and cry, "We have swallowed her!" Ah, this is the day we have longed for. Now we have it, we see it. The Lord has done what he purposed. He has carried out his word which he commanded long ago. He has thrown down without pity. He has made the enemy rejoice over you and exalted the might of your foes.
Thank you. So, who would like to share their recollection of the last session first? Dacian?
I'll go first. So, I woke up in the morning, made myself something to eat. As I was doing so, I was drawn into the forest, which I went into unknowing what I was going to find, but I ended up finding 2 white wolves, and I transform into a lupus to mirror them, and a woman of the forest, and then also turns into a lupus, and then attack me. I ended up ripping off or killing 2 of the wolves, and then the female lupus ran away.
And then you healed and returned to your house?
Yeah. Or Sarah and John's house.
Thank you. How about Nash?
Well, the time before last, I had spent the night at Callan's place, and he was having nightmares, and eventually we ran into some folks from the CRT, the Crisis Response Team, and I didn't run into them, but other people did, and yeah, we ended up. Where were we? We were in a cab. There was a Setite there. Peter Walker was there. Well, my notes and memories are a blur. But last I knew, I had left the party at the Pyramid nightclub, and I went off to go find other parties and take a dirt nap. And wherever we are now, that's where we are.
All right. How about Stramia? Lucy Fairbrooke.
Yeah, so we started at the Pyramid nightclub. Kaylin and I ended up leaving, trying to be discreet. We noticed the investigator was outside. We hop into Kaylin's car, and 2 cars end up blocking us in. Very discreet, like black tinted windows, everything. Peter hops out along with another guy. This other guy has a crossbow. Peter has a gun. Essentially, we get in a situation where they take us. We willingly get into their car, but it comes to a point where we decide to break free. Mostly, Kaylin did all that. Lucy was a little passive during that session. So essentially, I do get one perk where I was able to read Peter's memory, and I see him with people dressed like him sitting around computers. There's like a huge screen, like scientist stuff pointing out cold bodies that don't register heat, aka basically vampires, that there are people who are investigating, kindred. So eventually, we get out. Kaylin breaks his bonds, kicks a glass. I do have a Glock on me, so I pull that out, and we have like a little showdown moment, and eventually they let us go. Yeah.
Thank you. Callan, can you add anything to that?
Yeah. So as Callan and Lucy left the Pyramid nightclub and went outside, Callan kind of noticed a government vehicle. Didn't know that up front, but it was a vehicle with darker than normal tinted windows, kind of sitting there, not moving. Callan and Lucy hopped in his vehicle that his driver drives. And then it suddenly became obvious to us that we were followed by that vehicle that we saw at Pyramid Nightclub, as well as a second identical vehicle. Like I said, these look like they were government owned and operated. And the reason we noticed them so suddenly is they cut us off and stopped our driver from being able to proceed either forward or backward. Then Callan kind of got out and kind of raised his hands up, kind of like, what's going on here? And I was confronted at gunpoint and crossbow point by Peter Walker of the Crisis Response Team, some federal organization, that he found a strangely vague skeleton-like website on when he researched the agency at first notification of a confrontation between this guy and Lucy. So Peter Walker comes up and makes it clear that he wants to question me, and he's set on taking me in, apparently. So he tries to restrain me, and I dominated him and made him to where I let him know I was willing to come and answer questions, but I did not need to be cuffed. However, the Peter Walker guy wanted everybody out of the vehicle. Lucy had gotten out, the driver had gotten out, and the crossbowman came up and made it clear that he was going to try to restrain me also. So rather than continuing to resist by dominating this guy as well, Callan figured he'd play along and see exactly what this would lead to. He was ultimately zip-tied behind his back or had some plastic restraints, and he had his sword taken from him by the crossbowman and was placed in the back of the vehicle, and I believe Lucy was placed in the back of the vehicle also. As they were traveling, unsure of where they were going, Callan tried to dig a little bit to kind of see like who they were and what they were about and what kind of questions they wanted to ask, and it became obvious they were not going to be asking these questions on this ride or anywhere that would be neutral ground. So Callan broke his bonds and took in some of his blood pool to increase his strength and dexterity, kicked through the glass partition that was separating the back from the front, and kind of caused an accident. Essentially, Peter swerved and stopped the vehicle. The crossbowman got out. Callan did get access to his sword and raised it to the neck of Peter Walker in the driver's seat while the crossbowman trained his weapon on Callan. The Peter Walker guy seemed like he didn't really want to have this confrontation in this way. Tried to suddenly become more compliant and peaceful and cooperative, but the crossbowman didn't seem so eager to talk and be reasonable. So Callan drew a little blood on the neck of the driver, Peter Walker, and asked the bowman to put down his crossbow, which he did, or he at least lowered it. And after some back and forth, ultimately, I believe that we ended up disarming Peter Walker, emptying his revolver, giving it back to him, and allowing him and his partner to leave. I did give them my contact information so they could reach out. Because I'd be glad to answer questions, but I made it apparent that any involvement that they suspected I had with homicides or whatever with swords would have likely been in defense of myself, as I'm a pretty patient guy or whatever. Me and Lucy left there, and I know that Callan went back to his domain and restored his blood pool by feeding on his herd, and I believe that had plans to meet up with the rest of the group.
Thank you, everybody. So we have decided that 3 days and nights have passed in Cascadia City since the characters last adventured together. So I guess the last person I didn't ask is Shad. Shad, can you give us a quick synopsis of your part in the last session? Shad Viano Veroth, you there?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Shad has been spending his days and nights studying some of the tomes that he has and carving his talisman, which is about a quarter created with the help of Sid Rogers as faithful scribe.
Okay, so we've decided the party is meeting 3 days in the future. Does anyone want to say what their character's been doing for those 3 days, or should we just jump to the characters being back together?
I will say, like I said, Callan fed on his herd. Also, Callan acquired some body armor that he could wear underneath his trench coat, and he has secured his sword in the same place as before, the center of his back, unseen, invisible to passersby.
What kind of body armor is it? Like stab-proof vest?
It's like
vest?
Kevlar, essentially.
Like a bulletproof vest.
Well, he saw the crossbow and didn't really want to get shot by that, so he's at least armed against that, and maybe some small caliber bullets. Yep.
Alright then. Anybody else? Chad, do you want to like roll for successes on your talisman or something?
Sure. Week 2, and let me spend some blood points. 2 blood points to max out my intelligence to its what is it called? Generational maximum. And what server are we in? Hold on. World of Darkness rolls / dice. That's 12, right? / dice. 12 DC 6. Only 2 successes from that. Oh, I think we were spending. You're allowing me to spend willpower points as well to get some successes, so I'll spend another 2 willpower to make that a total of 4 successes.
Very well. Does anyone else want to narrate anything? Lucy, do you want to talk about what you did in the last 3 days?
Yeah, so Lucy laid low, sticking at her shop and doing a lot of just research, still just coming to the same conclusion that her dreams are probably prophesizing some future event, one that she's not entirely sure of yet or how it will play out, but is heavily on her mind.
And the
Also,
word that you've heard your Cyrus talk about is Gehenna, which is the vampire day of destruction or day of apocalypse.
Right.
Was someone else going to say something there?
Yeah, I was going to say, but also, Callan would have contacted the sheriff and let him know vaguely, not so detailed, about the encounter. That we do know that there is someone who seemingly belongs to a government agency that apparently is aware of, at least from Lucy's revelation, the supernatural existence of vampires, or they may not know exactly what they are, but they're definitely tracking us down and trying to detain us against our will. So to kind of be on guard about making sure that people are maintaining the masquerade as best as possible and potentially appearing as though they are warm by using blood points.
Alright, so you make a report to the prince, who only responds with terse, cryptic responses, but he takes your report. So the party then gathers, I suppose, at your crystal shop, Lucy? Is that what you decided?
Yeah, if that works for them.
Very well. So Nash Westergaard, Chad Viano Ferreth, Callan Clark, and Lucy Fairbrook reconvene as a group at her New Age and Occult shop on Gordon Avenue.
Smoking Sages? What was it called?
Yeah, Shadow and Sage. Yeah.
Now, can I add one more modification here?
Sure.
Callan instructed his driver to order a cattle guard or ranch hand kind of cattle guard thing for the vehicle so he can ram his way out of being blocked in the future.
Alright. You had a busy 3 days, but you managed to do that, sure. Okay. So, party reconvenes in the New Age and occult shop, Shadow and Smoke. With Lucy Fairbrook hosting the various vampires in her personal lair.
Are we starting off as if we already know, have chatted before, or should we catch each other up on shit?
Yeah, we're all
Definitely.
caught up. I think I've
Okay.
revealed everything that we went through to these guys.
Yep.
So perhaps you convene to make decisions about your next steps or future plans.
I welcome them in. Since it's later in the evening, of course, the sun has gone down, that we are all able to be out. I usher them in and lock the door behind the last person in, whomever that may be. And I motion to the table that I have set out that usually some clients will, again, like do readings at or whatever. And I take a seat looking at Kaylin and Shad, and is Nash with us?
Yeah, I'm there.
Cool. All right. What's the next move? The city seems to be on high alert for us specifically. She kind of looks at the group of them.
I'd say, considering we're being hunted from both kind and kindred alike, it may be time to take a holiday from the city, move on to new places, let the heat cool down for a while. Any
That sounds
suggestions?
reasonable to me. The lay of the land is not great. I haven't had any more follow-ups from the Sabbat. They, at least for the time being, have seemed to have their interest in us satisfied. But I do not desire to enter the Tremere Chantry, and I still need time with my books. I've learned much, but not enough.
Well, your books can travel, right?
Of course.
Okay, then maybe it's time for us to fulfill your calling to Arcadia City.
Any suggestions on where we should go? Nash?
Arcadia is on the table, but it's only a short distance away, and I'm not sure it would put us out of range of any of our enemies. In fact, it might bring us closer to some.
What about you, Nash? Do you have any suggestions on where we might head?
I don't have any suggestions. I'm kind of a newcomer here.
Well, I was considering that when I asked you. Maybe you have come from somewhere, or maybe you are going somewhere aside from here. We might be able to go with you to somewhere you're more familiar.
Nah, I was just driving around on my motorcycle, man. Taking dirt naps every night.
I don't believe that. What were you asking my sister?
You'd have to ask your sister.
Mm-hmm. It's like I almost have already.
Hey, I never kiss and tell.
Uh-huh.
What did she tell you?
Don't worry about it.
Well, if no one's going to make any other suggestions, is there any last stops before we head out? I suggest we just start driving at least. Maybe we can make up our mind on the road. Get some distance between here and wherever we are. Well, just get some distance between ourselves and the city at the moment. It's probably the best course of action.
What did bring you here, Nash? I say with the raised eyebrow, leaning on my half-carved staff.
I crack my knuckles and say, I think I already told you guys. I was looking for somebody.
And did you find him?
Nope. I was about to meet up with a contact, and know.
And where is this contact? Maybe we should start there.
Well, I'd have to text him. I'm gonna go ahead and check my phone because my contact just finally came to town. He's a contact and ally on my resource sheet. I have a point in each.
And who is this person?
Dealer's Choice Shogun. I'm gonna leave that entirely on you. But this is the guy
So
that
you're-
originally told me to come to Cascadia City because that's where Newell Boone, aka Clancy Adelbert, is from.
So you're asking me to design your friend and ally who you're calling now? Like, you want to call your contact?
Yeah, I do. And in my phone, it says James.
James, eh? All
Yeah.
right. Well, you give James a call. And he answers after 2 rings. Hey, Nash. What's going on, brother?
Oh, not much. Doing good. How's your wife, Sarah?
Oh, she's good. The last cancer treatments seem to have helped. She's doing much better now.
Word of warning, I was tying this in that my contact and ally is actually James the werewolf in Wildwood Park.
Okay.
So it's in your
So
head.
Sarah, I
Find
see.
that
So
in.
Sarah
We're-
is.
We're just wrapping that together.
Okay, your contact, and that makes more sense now. Okay.
Okay. So you get it?
So you're trying to call the werewolves from Wildwood Park, who are
Yeah.
somehow your contacts.
Yeah, if I can
All
use
right.
narrative magic, that is my contact and ally.
Okay, sure. So somehow you have a pre-existing contact with the children of Gaia from Wildwood Park, who were named James and Sarah, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, you give them a call then. Nash, interesting to hear from you at these times. How are you?
Oh,
It's,
still
Sarah
not
who
breathing.
Still not breathing, you say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. She asks if there's some way she can help you, or if there was a reason for your call.
So, you're originally the reason that brought me out here to Cascadia, and I never met up with you. Well, I've been out here so far, but... Whatever happened? You know where he went? You've been keeping tabs, I hear, through all the other packs.
You're talking about Newell Boone?
If that's his name these days, yeah.
Well, he left with the rodeo a couple nights ago. Moving on to the next city, I guess. Or maybe went back to his ranch, I don't know.
You don't know if he left any details, or did anyone get his plates while they were in town?
Well, we certainly didn't.
Hmm.
Is this phone call on speaker?
Yeah, it's on speak.
Did you say Newell Boone?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Funnily enough, Newell Boone was in our company not long ago. 3 or 4 nights ago, even.
I kind of like the hair on my neck, goes up, and I'm just like, and what were you doing with him?
Well, actually, he was causing a bit of a ruckus with his shoot first, think later mentality. I was actually relieved to see him go. What exactly do you have to do with him?
I'm gonna kill that son of a bitch.
Ah. Well, I do believe he left us an idea where he was going. Lucy, didn't he leave you a letter?
He did. Hold on 1 second, and she walks upstairs and for a second. I'm scrolling for my note. She comes back a little bit later. Honestly, there's no specific location on the letter, and she's like looking at it. But she did say that you have every right to his blood. I'm assuming he's referencing you in this letter, but he said.
You got it on you?
She's holding it in her hand, and she hands it to him.
I look it over and I see a brand on it. And the brand is a Lazy Swing N Bar Ranch.
Let me see that. Let me do a quick search and see if I can find something. Should I roll investigation and see if I can figure out where it's at, or
Investigation computers or intelligence and investigation, intelligence and computers.
okay? Difficulty.
7.
Botched.
Botched. Well,
Can I
You're
use
able-
willpower to automatically succeed, or what?
sure. Let's say you can.
All right, let's use a point of willpower.
So you're able to find an address matching the name on the letter left behind for Lucy Fairbrook for this ranch. An address about an hour away from your current location, heading south.
I relay that to the party. It looks as though we could make it there in a reasonable amount of time. It's better than being here, I suppose. Any objections?
No, that's actually pretty fortuitous. We were planning on going there because of the defense it offered. I doubt Newell will be very happy if we show up unannounced with his rival, but then again, he'll probably only take a few of us down if we try to take his home for our own. It seems well fortified and out of the way.
Take a few of us down. We're not gonna go get killed, are we?
I look over at Nash.
I crack my knuckles and say, just keep your heads down.
Right. Perhaps we could be a bit of a surprise and you not make yourself known immediately. That may be the best for the situation at hand.
I'm gonna go ahead and, because James is still on the speaker call, I'm gonna say, do you hear all that, James? Shogun?
Yeah. Yeah. I heard all that, he replies.
Did you need to swing by and say goodbye to James before we leave, as he is your friend?
Oh, we ain't friends like that, but James, you were saying, wasn't this the guy that was causing all the ruckus in your woods?
You're talking about who, sorry?
No.
Newell? Yeah. He was the prime suspect in the double homicide that took place in Wildwood Park, according to the news.
Great, so this accomplishes a number of goals. One, we can blame all our past indiscretions on the deceased Newell Boone. Once we accomplish that, exact whatever petty revenge Nash has against Newell.
Petty?
Set ourselves up. Oh. It's not petty then.
Alright.
So tell us more.
Presumably you have some good reason why he said that you have a right to his blood.
I am already saying to James, you know that one thing that I let you hold on to all these years? I'm gonna need it back tonight. And I'm like already on my motorcycle heading to Wildwood Park.
Very well. So we'll jump to to Nash's story. So you race through the night. It's like raining lightly towards Wildwood Park, and you arrive there quickly on your motorcycle at the edge of the forested area.
I think
Where the sidewalk
we'll all follow, by the way.
Everybody follows.
Yeah, we're trying to stay together.
So
Thinking to ourselves, he may almost be as reckless as Newell.
what kind of vehicles are you guys using to travel, to follow him?
I can get a car if we need. Or
Well, Lucy has a motorcycle, right? Do you
Yeah,
have a car with you, Colin?
give your driver.
Lucy,
Yeah, how'd you-
perhaps we could ride together, all of us.
All three of us on my
That's right.
bike.
No, your mother has quite a selection of vehicles and drivers at her disposal, does she not?
She does.
Perhaps they would like to drive us.
We can do that.
I prefer not to be separated on multiple vehicles, multiple bikes, and having our pictures taken anymore. I don't think that's a good plan.
I agree. He's already pulling up this weapon.
So you call your driver, and he arrives in a nondescript blue vehicle about 15 minutes later outside the Crystal Shop with a large vehicle with 4 passenger seats.
We go ahead and get into the vehicle. Myself, Calvin, and Shad. I'm making sure Shad is coming with us and not running away.
I
So
take a moment
everybody
to
gets
gather my
into the
books,
vehicle.
but yes, I'm there.
So you guys all get into the vehicle, 4 passenger seats in the back and 1 in the front. The driver is one of Elizabeth Fairbrook's retainers, a ghoul driver, bloodbound her service and that of her family. And he looks to Lucy and asks what her destination is.
Wildwood Park.
All right, so the car peels out and makes its way through the rainy night to Wildwood Park to a familiar point of access through the sidewalk that winds through the territory shared by Cagliostro Claw and the children of Gaia, Garu, or werewolves who you have also encountered here.
I try to see if we can spot Nash's bike as any sort of indication of where he ended up.
Well, then I think we just assume you guys followed him and kept up with him.
Okay.
So his bike is parked there, and he's still sitting on it, I guess, or just got off it.
Yeah, I'm
Did you
texting
pull up?
James.
You pull up behind him, James and Sarah, the Garu brother and sister from the children of Gaia. All right, so you have some kind of unknown pact with them or a relationship with them from the past.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, with James in particular.
In any case, they reply to your text with an address and tell you to come over, but to keep your eyes open.
I'll look at Nash and say, though you're no longer friends, you're just about as reckless as Newell is. We should try to stay together. We have many enemies, and this is hostile territory.
Yeah, there's this crazy pink-haired bimbo here I ran into before. I look at Lucy. Not you.
Thank you. Yeah, we know her well. I'm forgetting her name. Litu. Yeah, Newell got her good in the face. He does have a good aim, so
So,
Well, one more violation of Cagliostro Claw's domain surely won't hurt us. 3rd time's the charm, as they say.
right. Your contact, Nash, are they here?
I'm texting James and Sarah, seeing if they're...
Well, they already told you an address that you could go to, but that will require you to walk some way through Wildwood Park.
Well, I just tell everyone, like, follow me. Like, I've got their address.
All right, so you begin walking into Wildwood Park along the sidewalk, which is lit by occasional street lamps. And as you get
Who'd we lose?
Shogun.
You there, Dacian? We're about to run into you.
Yeah.
Who left? Oh, there he is. Sorry. Change his name.
Alright. You there, Shogun?
what's that?
Storyteller. You there?
Can you hear me?
You're a little quiet.
Hello, hello.
That's better.
There you go.
In any case, you walk deeper into the wooded residential forest. It's a little bit dark, shadowy in here, and you see the now familiar crows that always seem to show up whenever you guys enter this part of the woods, just watching you silently from the treetops. But you do begin to sense a dark and menacing presence. You can't quite place it where it's coming from, but you feel like you're being watched. Old and malevolent. In any case, about 5 minutes later, you come to the address indicated by James and Sarah. It's a small one-floor house, bungalow, whatever you call that, with deck in the backyard. And this is where you recognize as the residence of your friends, or at least your contacts, Sarah and James.
I go ahead and spend 3 blood points, turn into a wolf, and charge and tackle James.
Well, I mean, you're outside the house right
As soon as
now.
I see him. Okay, I'm readying this action.
Okay, wait, so you're turning into a wolf now?
Yeah, and I'm gonna howl.
Alright, so spend a blood point or whatever you have to do
3
to
blood
transform
points to
into a wolf.
transform. Or yeah,
Great.
actually, I'm just gonna spend 1. I'm gonna take 3 turns as I'm walking up. Spend 3 turns. I don't need to spend all 3 blood points yet.
As he begins to change, I lean over to Lucy and Callan and say, "Are we sure he's kind?"
I'm not sure what he is exactly.
Don't know what the fuck is going on.
I meant to
fed-
say kindred.
He fed like a kindred.
Yeah. Well, I'm turning into a wolf now, and like
Okay.
I howl.
So you use
outside of their
your
house.
gangrel discipline of Protean to shapeshift into a wolf. And you
Yep.
spend 3 points of blood and howl.
One point of blood and a howl. Yep. Outside of their house.
Alright, well, Dacian, Kevin, Philrar, you are inside the house with James and Sarah sitting down at the table sharing a meal when you suddenly hear a howl, a feral howl of a wolf directly outside your house, like on your front lawn, or rather the house that you're in. James and Sarah both kind of jump to their feet in surprise and look at each other with an uncertain look in their eyes and then look at you.
I rush to grab the hammer that I have stored away.
Okay, you grab your Jarl hammer, this hefty, giant war hammer of thunder that you got from your tribe in some quest, a vision quest or something. But regardless, you guys are inside the house. The howl came from outside. You got your hammer. And they look at you like, sort of looking to you for guidance as the warrior.
I stick my head out the door and says, "Who is it?"
Well, outside the door, you see a group of 4 people, who you don't recognize, except for one. Well, yeah, 4 people that you don't recognize. 1 female and 3 males, and they're all standing outside
One's a
on the
wolf.
lawn.
He did
And
see
there's
the.
one of them is a wolf. Yeah.
He was shown the picture from the investigator, though, wasn't he? He might recognize somebody.
I was shown no pictures.
Oh, okay, my bad.
In any case,
I call to Sarah and James and say, "Hey, do you know these guys?"
they run out on either side of you and say, "Yes, we recognize some of these people. They're the ones who created the fire inside Wildwood Park, and they were also the ones who shot that kindred, Michael Williams, or at least they were with the one who did. These are the ones who were with him when he committed the murders. We saw them that night."
Calum will say, whoa. Number one, I haven't been here nor committed any arson here, and I believe we came here on good terms. This wolf, just moments ago was messaging you on a phone. Does that make any sense to you?
Sarah and James look at the wolf on the lawn. What do you look like in your wolf form, Nolo? What color's your wolf?
I'm brown and I've got green eyes, and I'm all bristly and like shaggy and stuff. Look like almost a direwolf, but not as much.
So they look with surprise at the brown wolf, but seem to have some understanding pass in their eyes with recognition. And they say, "I guess this is Nash Westergaard, the gangrel. There are other gangrel in these territories, old and powerful ones, who consider this their domain. So you being here puts us all in danger. This is exactly why we summoned Kevin here in the first place, just in case we get caught up in some kindred war we don't even understand. We don't want to be collateral damage in your crazy vampire politics, worm-tainted creatures that you are."
I go ahead and turn into my human vampire form.
Okay, you metamorphosize back into your human form. And Sarah and James nod at you, but then ask, what are you doing bringing these worm-touched creatures into our domain? Into our territory, in the domain of Cagliostro? He's already been provoked. We can't predict what he's going to do.
Oh, don't worry about any big bad gangrel. Do you still got that gun and stake I told you to hold on to all these years?
James nods after a moment of thought and goes inside and takes out a wooden box, an old wooden box that has what kind of gun in it?
I don't know. It's some. It's a Colt. It's a Colt 45.
Okay, Colt 45 pistol and a stake.
Yep.
Yeah, hands you a wooden box containing those two items.
And by the way, when I see this Kevin guy that's 7 feet tall, I'm just like, holy hell, they stack them high out here in the woods.
Well, is that how tall he is in his human form?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So in any case, Sarah and James still look uncomfortable and on guard and uneasy about the situation, and they're just kind of looking back and forth at the various vampires assembled on the lawn.
Calum will say, well, Nash, is that all you need? Because I agree with your friend here. I don't think we want to be here any more than they want us here.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we need, yeah. Now we can go, take down Clancy Adelbert or Newell Boone, whatever you guys call him.
But they say, Sarah and James, Sarah goes, but wait a minute, this guy here, and she points at Shad, he's the one who came and started the fire, and
Shad's delusional.
I give a deep bow. My name is Shad, Vian Alfaroth. A pleasure to meet you.
It's not a party unless Shad lights a bonfire.
I wink.
I suppose making a fire is perhaps excusable, but you can't expect us to think it was a coincidence that your intrusion into our territory occurred around the same time as the double homicide in the residential district. or the murder of Michael Williams, the boy who is living in the golf course.
I shrug.
Do you want to know the truth of those situations? Lucy asks.
Sarah nods, and James looks at you with a severe look.
Those.
The truth is, I cut her off, we have our own reporting structures, and giving information to a stranger is not always the smartest move. Isn't that how we got into this mess?
Lucy kind of just crosses her arms, glaring at him.
Yeah, Cal will say, if there has been an aggravation or an offense, perhaps there's a diplomatic solution. Perhaps something we could do for you as we depart.
They look at each other skeptically, and then James goes, "We can't make any kind of deal with these creatures. You know what the elders said. They're tainted by the worm, all of them. Doesn't matter what fancy words they say, they're creatures of corruption. So many of them work for Pentex. We can't trust them." And then Sarah kind of looks at him thoughtfully and says, "But what if they are willing to help us? They could be exactly the edge we need in our fight against the corporations. We have to stop what they're doing in our domains. Fracking, the deforestation, the pollution. Maybe they can help us somehow." And he says, "You'd be a fool to trust them. They'll probably drink our blood or sell us to the ivory tower to keep in some kind of zoo or something." And they kind of look at each other and like they're sort of having like an argument.
Well, on
They
that
seem
point,
together, too.
Since James is my contact and ally, I'm just gonna be like, "Come on, bro." What were we saying, Chad?
I don't trust him.
when they mention their blood, I say, well, on that point, it would be perhaps another deal that we can make to discuss that, but I think we're all full, at least for now. Pentex, I have not a recollection of their being a part of our power structure. I look around the group to see if anyone else has heard of Pentex before.
Isn't that big multi-international company that has their hands in everybody's pocket? I think I've heard of them.
James and Sarah kind of sigh and get a sad look in their eyes and say, "Pentex is a corporation run by truly evil individuals and groups who are systematically destroying and despoiling Gaia, the mother of us all, the planet Earth, and turning the forests and wilderness into toxic waste pools and, injecting toxic waste into the water. And the Garu, the werewolves, as you would call them, have been fighting a war," and then she kind of sighs and says, "a losing war, trying to resist them as they continuously incurse into our territories and lands. We've lost many young men and women fighting against them, but perhaps, just perhaps, you could help us in our endeavors against them. In exchange for what, though? What could we offer that you would want?" And also,
Out of character, or we are aware that these guys are werewolves, right? We know about the children of Gaia, kind of generally, broadly speaking.
Well, we're assuming so because Nash apparently knows these people.
Yeah, I know, James. I didn't say they were werewolf, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious, I would say.
Yeah, they're calling us creatures of the worm and talking about Gaia, and I know that in character we know that there are werewolves in Wildwood Park by the name of Children of Gaia. So okay, I'm with you.
I'm also gonna say to Nash or James, I thought you might get a kick out of my wolf form. I didn't have that last time I saw you.
He says, "The vampire approximation of our natural metamorphosis is somewhat disturbing to the Garu. It's an unholy parody of our Gaia-gifted abilities. That's what the elders say. You may appear to be wolves, but your corpses underneath We are the living, breathing, bleeding champions of Gaia. We've all been taught that we can't trust the undead. Nevertheless, you seem to be treating us with respect, so perhaps we can make some kind of deal. I can't promise the same for Cagliostro or Litu, what they might think. And we don't want to get killed just because we're around you, if they happen to come claiming vengeance.
Well, what kind of deal can we do or can we make to balance this whole thing out? You were saying something about the forest deforestation. Do you guys need money? Like, is that... I can help with that.
Sarah laughs and says, money? What can we do with money? The Pentex Corporation has trillions of dollars. Even with your wealthy family or whatever you can offer us, it would just be a drop in the bucket compared to them. We can't fight them with money. Kind of nods and says, you truly want to help us? Why would a pack of vampires want to help the Garu?
That is a good question. I believe we've got what we've come for. Is that right, Nash?
Yeah, I'm about to get the keys to a new place, if you know what I mean, and we're going to be sticking around a little bit longer, you know. Might not hurt to help you scratch your back if you scratch ours, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure I do know exactly what you mean. What is it you're proposing?
Well,
I'll let you
are you aware of any Pentex outposts a few hours south of here? That's where we're headed next.
They have logging and fracking operations not far from that area.
Okay. Well, perhaps a few well-placed fires could impede their progress.
They look at each other with unmistakable interest in their eyes and then look back at you and say you could burn down some of the facilities that they're using to pump fracking chemicals into our traditional groundwater reserves.
Sure.
You would do that? They say, well, if you do that, you'd certainly have proven your trustworthiness, and then we could perhaps continue to work together in the future, but I want to send someone along to make sure that you don't betray our trust.
That's great, because we're going to need some extra muscle for our next leg of the task. I say, looking at this giant dude with the big old hammer, reminding me of my days from ancient Rome.
Callan will look at the tall lupine, whatever he is, and say, we want him. We'll take him.
So, James and Sarah look at you and say, the sooner you can get them out of our territory, the safer we'll be. If you were willing to go with them and make sure that they're not betraying our trust or pursuing some scheme against our interests, and can confirm with your first-person perspective that they carry out these attacks as they say they will, then maybe we truly have found an ally in our fight against the worm. And then Sarah goes, God knows we need one. It's been nothing but one disaster after another since Pentex started their operations around Cascadia City. Used to be that territory was protected, but some kind of corrupt backroom deal seems to have sold it out to Pentex, just like everything else.
James, haven't I been your ally since Sturgis in 84?
He looks at you with like sort of a wary look, but nods and says, so far you've been good to your word, but you have to understand we've been raised to think of you as creatures of the worm just as much as the Fomorians and the Banes. But if you do what you say you do, then maybe the enemy of our enemy can be our friend. And then maybe we can pay back the favor somehow. God knows if you try to betray us, you'll regret it. And they look at Kevin with like a knowing glance and say, take our word for it. Don't try any funny stuff with him around or he'll be nothing left of you but pulp bones.
I look at his giant Jarl hammer. I'm just like, I don't doubt it.
I really
So they
don't want
look
to go
at-
with this worm, but I'll do anything for you, Sarah and James.
They look at you with admiration and love in their eyes, and she gives you a big hug, and he kind of gets in on it and puts his arm around your back, and you guys have a nice little three-way hug together. They
While
say,
they're hugging, I'm whispering to Kaylin, how is he gonna fit in the car?
well, he's not always in his giant werewolf form. He's in his human form now, right?
Yeah, but he's like 7 foot tall.
He's still
He's still
7
7 feet tall, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose he'll have to duck his head.
It makes me nervous, but okay.
We'll give
It's a
him
good
the back.
point.
Dogs like the back.
You bring up a good point. We should not leave in familiar vehicles to the ivory tower. Didn't we see some extra motorcycles down by the docks?
You mean the ones that you put in the water?
Sure, but there were a few other groups there.
Are we gonna go steal bikes? Is that what you're suggesting?
Perhaps maybe another vehicle unassociated with any of our clans, possibly.
We could.
I will say that we have been photographed multiple times on the motorcycles and identified. It may not be the best idea, but we are fleeing, so maybe it's not as bad.
She, Sarah, when she's hugging you, whispers in your ear, "Get them out of the city," and that itself will be cleansing some of the evil and taint from this city. But keep your weapon ready, and if they show any signs of treachery, don't hesitate to do what you need to do. These are vampires. You can't trust them, no matter what they say. They're not like us. They're not children of Gaia. They're children of the worm. Remember that. This is a temporary alliance.
Yes, sir.
All right. So they say if you need a vehicle, you can take their hippie van, which is big enough for all of you guys to fit into, and also would be something unfamiliar to anyone pursuing you.
It's a little
Well-
boxy, but it'll do.
We should be on our
Hand the
way. We
keys-
shouldn't remain here any longer.
They hand the keys to Kevin and say, "We're leaving this to him, not you guys. So remember that."
That's fair.
Stood. Lucy waves her driver off, telling him that they're gonna part ways.
All right. So the driver nods and drives off in his vehicle, leaving you behind with the werewolves and their hippie van. So you guys get into bed.
I'll give Kevin the address that we've come up with on a phone search of the ranch brand.
The ranch of Newell Boone.
Yep.
All right. So Kevin, you have the coordinates and the map showing the way to a ranch owned by Mr. Newell Boone. It's maybe a couple hours drive from here, depending on how quickly you drive.
I'll say to him, this is the man that did maim Little Claw. So this may be mutually beneficial for your people and ours.
He's also, in fact, the one who did the double homicide here. So,
Oh, so now you're
Don't
gonna
feel
share the
guilty.
information that I was gonna share.
yes.
Interesting.
Well, I kind of put the hammer that I have kind of in the passenger seat, all the way to the left. And I say, buckle up, guys. It's going to be a long drive.
So, there are two objectives now. One is to do some sabotage, to commit some sabotage at either a logging facility or oil and gas field, and the other is Newell Boone. I would suggest that we do Newell Boone first, because if it takes too long, we're going to be stuck, because we got to basically be be out of, we got to be in a dark place that's secure by sunrise. And we're already taking a couple hours drive.
I don't have any problem with that. Everywhere else is take a dirt nap, but yeah, let's go check out what Clancy Adelbert's up to these days. Who knows? He might not even be home. We might have the place to ourselves, or we might have to pick off a couple ghouls or something. You never know.
Yes, and bravado aside, it would probably be best to take him alive if possible. I say, kind of looking off into the night through the window of the Volkswagen RV as I sit down and put my seatbelt on according to Kevin's instructions.
My lip twitches at the suggestion of keeping him alive.
All that aside, the night's still young. We better be on our way. It's not terribly far of a drive. We should make it in about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
I turn back towards Nash, having said that, to see if he reacts violently, and not noticing the twitch in his lip, I say, well, I thought this was a revenge mission. No problem with leaving him alive, then.
Yeah, my eyes are just they got some fire in them.
What did he do to you?
I just kind of grip the seat in front of me or something, and I just kind of bear down, don't say anything.
All right, keep your secrets, but no diablerie.
I start the
Alright.
engine to the vehicle.
So you begin driving?
Yeah.
Okay. So you start driving, and following the map, you exit Cascadia City without any further issues and find yourself on the open road to wooded forest lands up past Canadian Shield granite hills, some small hills climbing up, not so much into the mountains, but into some higher elevation forest, winding roads. So once you're about 20 to 30 minutes on your trip, you're in relatively deep forest on both sides. It's dark. You're like driving towards the ranch, and all of a sudden something very large and very shaggy runs on two legs out in front of you, and it startles you, and it's also like, in the way of your vehicle. So roll like a driving plus dexterity check to try and like either verve around it or brake or whatever you want to do.
We're gonna die. Let's see.
You're using your driving roll, Kevin?
He's the one driving.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you don't have a pip in driving, oh my god, we're dead.
You got no successes.
What's the difficulty?
Should be +1 difficulty for the Volkswagen bus.
I don't know what his equivalent to
then.
blood pool is, but he could probably increase his stat somehow.
No, he can't do that.
Okay.
But he can only do that by transforming himself to change his stats. But he can't do that right now. So you got no successes on your drive check?
What's the dexterity or what's the difficulty?
7, we'll say.
7. Both failed.
Okay. So you try to brake, but you're moving too quickly, and the animal or whatever it was ran out in front of you too quickly, so you collide headfirst with this big, heavy animal. So everybody roll 1d10, and if you roll a 1 or a 2 on a d10, you may suffer some injury in this like car crash that now happens. Your car comes abruptly to a crashing stop as it smashes into this thing that just ran in front of your car, which, by the way, knocks it like backwards off its feet and onto the highway in front of you. Or you can kind of make out that it's this big, hairy, shaggy thing, but its head is like turned away from you and it's like been knocked out onto the highway. Did anybody roll 1 or 2?
How do I do this roll?
Just roll 1d10 die, 1d10 dice.
You could also
Get
do
a one.
/dice 1, 2. Having trouble with the other bot for some reason, so I just did it on the new one.
Well,
I rolled a 2.
what did you use to roll that? Okay, you did that. Yeah,
You
Kevin.
rolled a 2, Callan.
Yes.
Okay, try and soak 2 bashing damage. Difficulty 6.
Kevin botched it.
So that's where is that? Fortitude plus what? Dex or stamina?
Fortitude plus stamina, yeah.
Did you have armor as well?
His armor won't help for the car crash.
Okay.
You're just trying to soak 2 damage from the car crash.
Nope, I don't get any. No successes.
You- No successes. Okay, you take 2 bashing damage from the violent impact with the large creature.
And Kevin botched that.
That's okay. You hit the animal anyway and knocked it off its feet. Did anyone else roll a 1 or a 2?
No.
Okay, so
Kevin, you got the 1.
Kevin, you recognize the creature in front of you as a fellow Garu in Krynos form who's been knocked down onto the ground, but even as you see it, that he's getting to his feet and kind of like shaking off the impact and turning towards you and like snarling with his claws out, and he growls to you in your like Garu language that only the 2 of you understand. He says, "What are you doing accompanying these children of the worm through our territory? We've been killing even the hominids for what they do in our lands, and yet you are in the company of vampires. Turn them over to us so that they can face Gaia's justice." And he's got like red ritual scars across his face, so you recognize him as being of the Red Scars tribe, who are notorious for being like hardline anti-human exterminator. That's their ideology, is like exterminate humans. And they're like the most radical faction in that regard.
Sorry, I
Sweet.
can't do that. We're on a mission. I can't
He
do
says,
that.
"A mission with these worm-touched bloodsuckers? How can you trust them? What, have you sold out to Pentex?"
I don't trust them, but I've been told to do this for someone.
"For who?" he says skeptically.
Sarah and James from... what tribe are they from again?
"The children of Gaia."
From the Children of Gaia.
He seems sort of surprised by this news and considers it for a moment, and he says, "Our clan does have treaties with theirs. This is a mission on behalf of Gaia, you say?"
Yeah.
He says, "And you refuse to turn these worm-tainted creatures over to us so that we can end their wretched existence now?
That's right.
I will do it by myself." He said, he thinks for a minute and then kind of snarls in frustration and says, "Very well. Whatever your actions are will be upon you. But the tribes will be watching. And if you fail or betray us, I'll kill you myself." In any case, he kind of snarls again and kind of lopes off into the woods, accepting what you said. But there's some minor damage to the RV, broken headlight, a dent in the front fender, crack in the windshield, but nothing too severe.
I'll look at Kevin. I'll say, "Good grief, mate. Have you ever driven a vehicle before?"
This is my second time.
Perhaps, since we're all on common interests, traveling together, let one of the others drive.
I'm already like jumping in the driver's seat for this.
I allow it.
I don't blame you. I don't drive myself.
Did you
I'll,
have cars back when you were made into a vampire?
I'll scowl and I'll heal my damage with blood pool, but I'll reluctantly grab my seatbelt and give Kevin the side eye as I buckle up.
So as you guys are contemplating this with your vehicle still stopped, all of a sudden another Krynos werewolf lunges out of the woods and swings a big gorilla-thick clawed hand through the windshield, or not the windshield, but the rear passenger side window, smashing through and trying to grab Shad, I'm going to say, who's going to be sitting closest to the window with like a clawed hand through the window. So if you want, you can try to like make some kind of evasion or do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'll try to jump out of the way.
Try to lunge out of the way, but you're wearing your seatbelt, so you might be restrained. You can try and do it real quick.
Okay, what's the DC then?
7, we'll call it. So he's automatically grabbing you unless you can dodge it.
5 successes, 2 of them are great successes.
Okay, so you, as this giant claw reaches through the back windshield, or back passenger side window, breaking through the glass and trying to grab Shad, he manages to leap away towards the other side of the rear part of the vehicle and evades the grasp. And you see that there's a black, fully transformed werewolf, like frothing at the mouth with red scar over its face, like basically attacking your van.
So Nash, go, 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 go!
Alright. Yeah. So it's Kevin who's driving, right?
No, it's
I'm
Nash.
driving.
It's Nash.
So yeah, I book it, and I'm not the worst driver, so yeah.
Okay, well, roll your driving plus dexterity or whatever.
Dexterity plus driving. Okay, what is the difficulty?
7. And you need to roll at least 3 to get away from this werewolf that's running on all fours behind you, trying to catch you extremely quickly.
You said 7?
Yeah, sure. They're fast in the short distance.
Alright, I'm also going to use the willpower.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, I got 2 successes.
Alright, so the werewolf chases you on all fours as quickly as it can, but you floor it on the van, and even though it's not a very fast vehicle, you manage to outdistance it, but it's close enough that it scrapes the back of your van with its claws once before you get out of its range.
Look over to Kevin and say, excuse me, but what did you tell him that made him want to kill us?
I just told him that I was on a mission.
I shrug. Looking back through the shattered glass, I say, well, we seem to have avoided him for now.
He was a bit irritated that I was accompanying these worms.
I understand.
Nash, as you're driving, you see a snowy owl swoop down right over your vehicle with its wings spread, and it flies like right over the top of your vehicle. Like, you see it clearly. It's like a big white owl.
Nice. I just say to everyone in the vehicle, whoa, did you see that owl at least?
Spooky.
And we're just driving. We're just trying to get the hell out of there. And I say, interestingly enough, this isn't the first time I've messed up one of James's vehicles.
So anyways, you wind your way through the forested road, and before too long you arrive at the destination, Newell Boone's Ranch. What was it called again?
Swinging Lazy N Bar Ranch.
Swinging Lazy N Bar Ranch?
Yeah, Swinging Lazy N Bar Ranch. And if you know anything about brands, so it'll be like a semicircle at the top, and then it'll be an N that's turned sideways like a Z, and then there'll be a little dash for the bar, and that's Swinging Lazy N Bar Ranch, and that's the symbol of the brand.
Okay, I'm just going to call it the Swinging Lazy Ranch then.
There you go.
So can you describe it a little bit, like what it's like, if you know?
Well, so this would be a new property of Newell's, because his main operation where he makes all of his money is actually down in Utah, and I didn't have any clue that he's gone elsewhere since, but yeah, I guess this is kind of like a satellite ranch, as it were. He's expanding his reach.
Oh, sorry, my mic was open. But anyways, you arrive at the outskirt of the ranch. It has like wooden fences all around it. You see some horses grazing in fields, some cattle grazing in different fields in their own little pens, some barns, barn-like structures, and then a big, very nice like house, old like southern type style house. That seems to be the center of the so-called ranch with the lights on, many lights on inside. It's all lit up, so you can tell it's occupied.
I'm gonna go ahead and keep that gun in my pocket, and it has a full clip, by the way.
I also checked the gun that I had previously retrieved and put my bags in my backpack, carry my walking stick, and take a step out. Ask Lucy, do you see anything in the house?
Lucy is deafened, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too bad.
I'm also
But-
gonna make sure I got my steak, and yeah.
We'll have those of you who are here
I'll get
If
out
you want
with my
to.
sword as well.
roll perception checks if you want.
Awareness or alertness?
Either one. One or the other. Difficulty 7.
You said perception, right?
I have one success on
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Perception
0
and
successes.
alertness. 0 successes for Shad, 1 for Nash.
Let me look at my thing here. I got 2. Did you say perception or awareness? Okay, let's just roll.
Perception, awareness.
Difficulty
alertness.
was
7.
Hey,
I got 1 great success.
Okay. So you, Nash, get the sense that you guys are being watched. Shad looks around and sees nothing out of the ordinary, but Callan, with his keen eyes, is able to spot a shadowy figure or two lurking around the corners of the aforementioned barn-like structures, kind of peeking in your direction, trying to conceal themselves behind the barns.
I'll make eye contact with Shad and nod towards the shadowy figures.
You indicate the presence of some kind of danger over in the direction you nod.
I don't see them, but I turn around and whisper very quietly into the car to Kevin and Nash. Perhaps let us take a first step at getting a little bit closer. And close the door behind me.
I'll start
Alright.
heading that direction so they can follow.
yeah.
Meanwhile, Lucy's eyes roll back in her head as she begins having some kind of prophetic vision that seems to occupy her attention. She stares into space with her eyes rolling back in her head and speaking in some strange language you don't understand.
I grab my hammer.
So I follow Callan over to where he's heading, only a few steps behind him.
Yeah, Callan is making his way over with his sword, kind of at a low ready, both hands on the grip, down and to his left. Just kind of stalking up on these shadowy figures, try to get a better look.
So, seeing this sort of posture of maybe moving towards weapons, the figures come out from hiding. There's a total of 2 of them, one hiding behind each of the buildings, and they're both pointing revolver-style pistols at you, wearing like what you can only describe as like rodeo outfits, and they're moving towards you like quickly with the guns pointed at you, and they go, "Hold it right there, partners. You're trespassing on private land. Who are you? What are you doing here? Put your
No, in
hands where we
fact-
can see them."
So I drop the gun. It's like on my finger, but obviously not in my hand. And I have my stick in my other. Say, no, we mean no harm, and we come invited by Newell Boone.
They look at each other and kind of read each other's expressions for a second, and then turn and then look, and they point at Nash and go, "Isn't that the guy the boss told us about? The one we're supposed to watch out for?" And then the other guy goes, "Yeah, goddammit, that's him." And he immediately starts firing at Nash. So
How far away
Anyways.
are we now? Yeah.
you guys are about 15 feet away, I guess.
Okay. So we roll an initiative or what?
Yeah, you guys can all roll initiative.
All right. All right.
Wits and Dex, where are you? 1, 2, 3, 7. I got 12.
I got a 6.
I got a 13.
Nice.
So-
Kevin's.
Okay,
Whether
that's
you
in the
guys
same
know
order.
it or not, these guys are ghouls, so they have dexterity of 3 and wits of 2, so plus 5, so they get 7 and 13.
13.
So the 2 NPCs, the 2 rodeo
Oh, I got it
ghouls that work for Nash, or Newell, sorry, are rolled 7 and 13. So what'd you guys all get? Shad
Yeah.
got 9,
I got a 13.
Keelan got 6, Nash got 12, and you got 13, and these guys got 7, 13. So you go first, Kevin.
Alright, first things first is I metamorph into a Kronos form, boosting
Okay,
my stats.
As you do that, they both, their mouths drop open in, shock, and the blood drains from their face in terror, and their, eyes go wide, and they kind of take, a step back, but they still keep their guns aimed at you, but they look like they're, panicking. So I'm just gonna have them roll, some kind of fear roll. I'm gonna say they're gonna need 7 or higher to pass a morale check. This is my own homebrew roll right now.
Is it still raining?
Yeah, very mildly.
Lightning strikes as the beast's back
Yeah.
cracks into an ungodly form rowing in the night, with the sliver
telling you
moon
what I
lighting
rolled. Can you guys read what I rolled? It doesn't
his
display.
bristled fur.
It's stuck.
Still pending.
Okay.
Give it a second. It works for me. Just give it a second.
By the way, the people that don't know, Krenos form that he transformed into is the classic werewolf form.
Yeah,
upright?
standing on 2 legs, wolf head, giant claws, built like a gorilla.
Wielding a giant hammer.
Cal, look at
My
this
dice
big-
roll bot isn't working. Let me try the other one.
And do you have a stat block for them by chance at all now?
Don't worry about it.
What do they do? Like a courage roll or something?
It's not
Yeah.
letting me roll dice though. Nothing's happening.
What's the?
Where? What are you trying to roll?
Try dealing
I'm just
dice.
trying to roll
Using the
a
Dinobot? Why are you using the Dinobot?
Do splash dice general.
You're trying to roll what, 2?
Not
What's
displaying anything.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Dice roll. Pool 2. Difficulty 7.
Ooh,
Okay, so one of them succeeds and one of them fails. So one of them hardens his gaze and tightens his grip on his pistol and aims it directly at Kevin and his Krynos form. The other guy loses, pisses his pants. You can see a wet spot spread on the front of his jeans, and then he turns around and runs as fast as he can, screaming towards the mansion at the center of the ranch. So, anyways, it's your turn, Kevin.
Okay. I will use my hammer and my hammer's ability using 2 Gnosis.
Okay.
Use 2 Gnosis, and I swing my hammer and lightning at this individual.
Okay.
And
So roll an attack roll, which is going to be dexterity plus melee. Or melee, whatever you call it.
Dexterity and melee.
So you guys technically rolled the same initiative. So I'm going to roll that he's going to fire at you while you're attacking him.
8.
But
What's the difficulty?
to hit him is only going to be 6, I think, right? Or what were you going to
He
say?
uses hammer at 7, but yeah.
So he fires his revolver pistol at you as you charge towards him with the hammer.
I got 4 successes, 3 great successes.
Okay, he got 3 successes, 1 great success. So he manages to hit you with his red pistol at least once as you close the distance. But go ahead and roll your damage now. That's going to be strength plus your weapon plus its lightning or whatever.
So, for your hammer, you'll roll strength, so whatever that is in your Krynos form, plus 6. So it's a ton. So you'll roll that giant dice pool.
Does he have melee also?
What?
Does he have a melee like block like we got?
Well, he already hit, so... Now let's check the gun thing.
Oh, it's
here.
damage. I got you.
And a difficulty of 7.
6.
And a difficulty
for-
of 6 to
for-
injure this guy. Difficulty of 6 to
damage
injure this guy.
Yeah. Just like soak is always basically difficult.
I roll
Jesus,
8
this guy's
successes.
Jeez,
Cool,
Louise.
but-
3
Okay,
great
so
successes.
he literally explodes into a fine red mist as the lightning and kinetic force just absolutely vaporizes his body. And his like hands and feet go flying off him to land on the lawn, but his body is completely gone. However, he did manage to fire his gun and hit you while you were closing the distance. I'm just looking quickly for the guns thing. And that's right here, I think. Where's the guns? Ranged weapons chart, revolver, damage 6. Okay, so he's gonna roll 6 dice. I gotta use the other one.
Be prepared to soak with your 7 stamina, by the way.
Yeah. So he's gonna roll a pool of 6. The difficulty of what is it gonna be 6 to hurt the werewolf or higher?
Where it depends on where you're shooting.
Shooting at the center mass.
Then yeah, I believe it's just
What's the difficulty on a soak?
6.
He rolled 0 successes on his damage anyway, so the bullets just go through your shoulders and arms, and you barely even feel the stinging pain, and the wounds just close and heal, so his gun has no effect. However, the other guy is still screaming and running towards the house, but the guy who stood and fought is now like a bloody paste on the ground.
Callan will look at his sword and kind of look at the guy's hammer. Kind of go, oh.
You start to hear like yells from inside the building, like of alarm, as they hear someone screaming outside and see the guy running towards the building.
Who's next on initiative?
Well, the initiative doesn't matter anymore because the last guy who was fighting you ran away, so anyone can do whatever they want.
We're gonna chase.
You're gonna chase him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna roll a contested athletics roll. So he's gonna try his best to run away from you with his stamina of 3 and athletics of 2, we'll say. So he's gonna roll 5 dice.
That Dex plus athletics.
He's rolling stamina plus athletics. But yeah, Dex is the same. So whatever, either one.
DC 7.
I'm just putting DC 1 since it's contested.
DC 6 contested.
Okay, I got
So-
5 successes, and one of them is a great success.
Okay, well, my guys rolled in work. Let me try again.
What do we say? The red skills cancel out a great, or they just cancel out a success?
Ones cancel 10s. Okay, so he got 2. So Shad easily overtakes him, running
I got 2
extremely
as well.
quickly. Shad blurs as he runs so quickly and catches up easily with the fleeing man, as he's only made it about halfway to the mansion.
I run ahead of him and pull out my gun and say, not so fast, please stop.
He freezes in terror with his hands up and drops his pistol. His knees
On
are
the ground.
shaking. He flops on the ground and starts praying, "Oh, Mother Mary, please help me, Mother Mary, full of grace." And he starts stammering Catholic prayers.
I walk behind him and put the gun behind his head. Newell! Come here, Newell!
Sorry.
I shout at the house where the commotion is stirring and call for Newell to come out of the house with my gun pressed up against the kneeling guy's temple right in front of me.
So, as soon as you say that, this big glass sliding door with 2 sides slides open in the front-facing part of the mansion, and you see a man with alligator shoes and a big giant belt buckle and a big Texan cowboy hat with 2 leather holsters on his hips, stride out with 2 people on either side of him who both also look like rodeo people dressed similar to the people you just have encountered, and both of them have pistols drawn, and he has a pistol in both hands, and he's striding out with a cocky grin on his face and his 2 pistols pointed at you guys. And they're all walking towards you, all 3 of them. Meanwhile, the guy on the ground is still shaking and praying.
Ignoring him and buying some time for the party to catch up, I say, Newell, this whole thing has gotten so out of hand. I had hoped to come visit you on better terms than this.
And he says, "Well, you come in the presence of one who hunts for my blood, so I can only assume that you are part of whatever assault that he's planning to launch, but I'm afraid I can't be taking any chances with my own life." And he looks meaningfully at Nash Westergaard and aims both of his pistols at him.
I should be right next to the guy who Chad has at gunpoint.
Yeah.
I had the same speed as him or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So we're doing another roll here for initiative kind of thing, or are we doing initiative?
Yeah, let's do another initiative roll real quick. You remember what Newell's wits and dexterity were?
I can grab it real quick. I think it was 4, though.
Dex.
For what?
I think
got
when
an
you...
8.
Alright, here, let me look at it.
Oh, that went so fast. I got 11.
Alright, his dexterity is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then his wits is 2, so 7. Here,
Okay, so he just rolls 1 dice, right?
What?
We just roll 1 dice for initiative, right? For him?
Yeah, and then you add your dex plus wits.
Whatever.
Is Lucy back yet?
So you add 7 or whatever he had.
7 plus what?
So
So this is Newell.
7 you rolled?
yeah, so he had 14. So we have the same initiative.
Okay, and now the other 2 guys are gonna roll theirs.
Chad 18, Newell 14, Kevin 12. Who am I missing? Callan 11.
Chad, Noel,
lackeys.
Nash, Kevin, me.
The
Is
2
Lucy still
lackeys.
going, or?
It's not working. Fuck. Okay.
Nash had 14, and Newell had 14.
Okay, so he rolled 9, so we're gonna say plus dexterity 2, wits 2, that's 4, that's 10, 13. So 13 for the one dude. Oh, now I gotta roll another one. Damn. Roll 2.
Does anybody know the mechanic for blood points you can drink from somebody per turn? Is it?
3 in one turn.
Yeah, it's 3 unless you're like a Nosferatu or something. Okay.
Alright, so the initiative of the 2 lackeys are 10 and 13, and the initiative of Newell is 14.
10 and 13.
Okay.
Alright, so 1 beats.
So Newell goes first, right? Did anyone get higher than 14?
I got
We
18.
shared.
You got 18? Okay, well then Shad goes first.
I'm just going to call out, not my fight, not my problem, but if you don't mind, and I'm going to whisper to the guy that's kneeling in front of me, don't worry, you won't die. And I bite down on his neck, draw 3 blood points out, and I'm also spending blood points to raise my other stats. I've already raised Dex some, but I'm taking 3 points from him and putting 3 points, 2 in stamina, 1 in strength.
Okay, wait, who are you biting right now?
The guy
The
that
guy
was
that you
kneeling.
have the gun? Okay, so you bite the guy and drink 3 points of his blood, okay. That's all you do? And then you boost your stats?
Mhm.
You can't do anything else? Same turn?
I can, but I'm not going to.
Okay, so the next move goes to Newell. He has a pistol in both hands, and he's going to fire with one hand at Nash Westergaard, and with the other hand at... does anyone else have a gun drawn at this point? Or a weapon?
My sword's out.
Your sword's out? Okay, then the other guy's shooting. The other hand, he's shooting at Callan.
My
So-
hammer's out. Yeah.
He's rolling d10. Now I gotta do the right one. Okay, so his pool is going to be 5 for firearms, plus what was his dexterity? 5?
Yeah, he had 5 decks.
Okay, so he's rolling pool 10. With a difficulty of, we'll say, 8, because we'll call it a trick shot.
1
So,
success.
1 success, okay. So he manages to hit, let's see here. Flip a coin.
What
So
kind of
he
gun was
managed-
he shooting?
He's shooting with his revolvers, I think. Heavy revolver, if there is one. So anyways, we'll say he hits Nash Westergaard, center mass. And we said that was a damage pool of 6. Fuck. Okay, so rolling damage with his pistol that hit you. 3 successes, 3 damage. Roll to soak if you want.
I soak it all.
Alright, so the bullets have no effect. And he misses Callan, I guess, because he rolled bad. Well, actually, no, he got three botches, 3 successes, 1 critical, one critical success. So, but you rolled 4 saves, so yeah, you soak all the damage. So the next initiative up is who?
Me.
Lackey at number 13.
No, it was Newell / Nash. It's my turn.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, I'm going to spend a blood point to get my Gangrel Claws. That's spent. And so, yeah, they, like, grow out of my hands, and they're, like, all, you know, black and freaky claws. And I'm just gonna run at him and, like, go straight for his neck. So, yeah.
So you're going to slash Newell Boone with your claws?
Yeah, I'm gonna slash his neck with my claw.
Okay, so you're rolling what? Dexterity plus melee?
Yes. Brawl. Plus brawl. Melee's for weapons. And this is technically considered hand-to-hand. So what's the difficulty?
To hit Newell, that's another vampire who has a dexterity of 5. We'll say we'll take an 8. And then I'm going to a contested roll. You need at least one 8 to hit him.
And I'm going to use another point of willpower for this.
Okay.
I'll mark those on the bottom of the tracker. There we go. Alright, what did you just say? Sorry, I was focused on the willpower thing.
Well, yeah. Just roll your dexterity plus brawl on a difficulty of 8. My thinking is because he has dexterity 5, he'd be hard to hit.
Okay, yep, so... Stab. Alright, I got 6 successes on hitting it.
Okay, so you slash him wherever you want.
Okay, I'm gonna slash like his neck across his chest, and so I'm gonna attack with my strength, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then oh shit, what was the clause? Why do I not know these rules better?
Astra comes out of her epileptic prophetic dream seizure.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out.
Claws dexterity plus brawl with a difficulty of 6.
Damage plus what?
Oh,
though?
damage is strength plus 2 aggravated.
Plus 2 aggravated.
Strength? Okay, mine's different because so mine's strength plus 1 aggravated. So okay, so I'll do 4, 5. Strength again. Alright, so I'll roll 5 then. Dice pool, roll 5, difficulty, that's always 6 because I'm just hitting for damage. I did 3 successes, so he takes 3 points of aggravated damage.
2 critical failures, 1 success. 3 points. So I'm ruling that he managed to partially dodge and reduce the damage by 1. But he can't soak, so he took 2 points of aggravated damage. So you slash him across his neck and chest, and some blood spurts out. But he was able to kind of step back out of the way, so you didn't fully get him.
He has fortitude. He could, yeah.
He can attempt to soak.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Let me look exactly how much fortitude he has. He has, I think, yeah, he had 3 points of fortitude. So he.
Okay, so he's rolling a pool of 3 to save on a difficulty what? Aggravated damage. 7.
He has 2 stamina, so yeah, it would be 5.
Stamina won't count.
total.
Just his fortitude, we'll say.
Yeah,
Because it's aggravated damage. So difficulty 7, we'll say. Zero successes, so he takes the full 3 points of damage.
Okay.
Or the full 2 points of damage, actually. 2 points of aggravated damage he takes from the claw attack. So, I'll try and get through this quick. Oh. Who's next?
Henchman
Black.
number 1.
Lackey, henchman number 1. Alright, henchman number 1 is going to aim at Callan, with the sword. Because he doesn't want to risk hitting his friend who's in close combat with him. So he's going to have a dexterity of 3 and a firearms of 2, so he's going to roll to hit you on a difficulty of 6, I guess. So he hits you 4 times, and he's going to roll d6 for damage. You have armor value 2, I think. You got no successes on damage anyway, so the bullets just soak into your flak jacket that you're wearing and don't do any damage.
Excellent.
Who's up next?
Hammer Dog.
Evan. What disciplines did Newell have other than that? Did he have like Protean or anything?
had fortitude. He had 3 points in fortitude.
Ooh.
But you know what? I had like 40 some EXP. I'm sure you could say I had something else too, because I never spent it on him.
Okay. Did he have any melee skill?
He had 0 melee skill. He had 5 in firearms.
Whose turn is it?
Wolf
Mine.
dog.
Whose?
Kevin.
Kevin.
Kevin A. Philroar.
So, Werewolf, you're up next.
Okay, so I got a question, I guess. Can I use a gift, and like
Yes.
create element and also use an attack, or
I think it's going to probably be one or the other, but what are you trying to do?
so I was gonna soak them in water and then hit them with a lightning strike.
You have a gift that lets you cover them in water?
Yeah, create element water.
This guy's too cool.
Sure. We'll rule that you can do that right now.
Okay, so I use 1 Gnosis for the create water, and I splash them with water. And I go for a lightning attack for the center mass, or whoever's in the middle of them. Spending 2 more Gnosis.
Gnosis is like vampire blood, by the way, for people listening.
Alright, so I need /dice. Oh, cool. The element doesn't do anything on its own. The Helmer.
Okay, so roll to hit using dexterity plus melee with the. So you use your Garu magic to use your Gnosis to supernaturally throw water onto the man in the middle, who's Newell Boone, soaking him from head to toe in water. Now go ahead and roll your attack. Dexterity plus melee.
Difficulty is 6.
We're gonna call it difficulty of. I think we were saying 8 to hit him, weren't we?
Only a 6 to hit me, though.
So 2 hits. So you connect with your Warhammer. So go ahead and roll your damage.
Plus, because you had 2 hits, you get an additional 1 to it. All your additional successes over 1, you add to your dice pool.
Well, he got 1 dodge, I'm ruling. So he only got 1 success. But go ahead and roll your damage anyway. I'm ruling that Newell is fast. Maybe he's got a point of celerity. He can try and dodge multiple times.
Difficulty is 6. Or 7, sorry. Or 8.
For damage, it's 6.
And for damage, it's 6, yeah.
Okay, sorry. 6 successes.
So, 6 successes. And 1 critical success. So 7 successes for damage. He's already taken 2, right?
3
So
of aggravated.
he's gonna roll to soak the aggravated damage with his fortitude of 3. The difficulty of soaking will be 8. He gets 1 critical success, so he manages to take off 2 points of damage, but you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means he's taken 7 points of aggravated damage, which I believe, does that incapacitate him?
Yeah, he's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. He only had 4 possible for incapacitated, so he's down for the count.
So what's he at now?
He's dead. Dead.
Dead. Okay, so you smash him with your Warhammer and crush his skull and most of his spine with a huge hammer blow,
Now,
and crunch Newell Boone down.
do I get splash damage with the water and lightning?
He's already dead, so he also gets even more electrocuted, but he's just fried and crushed.
You're asking about splash damage for the other minion dudes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Since you rolled one critical success, one of them takes a point of electrical damage as well.
Fair enough.
Just to clarify, is Newell dead or is he incapacitated?
That was aggravated damage, so...
Is it aggravated damage?
He's taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of aggravated damage. 2 from the slash, and then.
And how much?
Well,
what
he
did
actually
you have?
no, but he soaked two. He
stamina?
soaked 2 of that. He soaked 2 of that. So he took from that last blow. He took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He took 6. So he's taken 8 points of aggravated damage now.
Yeah, and there's only 7 on the health tracker, so unless you healed
But
him...
yeah, he's down and bleeding out. Like his vitae is just pumping out of his slashed throat and the crushed skull. His brains are on the pavement. His 2 lackeys are gonna have to roll a morale check. They're gonna need an 8 just not to run. Zero successes. So both of them seeing their leader crushed in a single blow by this giant werewolf swinging an electric axe, turn and run in panic, screaming away from the giant wolf and this crazy assault. Estremia, if you want to take an action, you can, or whoever else is next on initiative.
Next is Callan.
Can I chase these guys down?
Yeah, just roll a contested, I guess, dexterity plus athletics roll.
Alright.
So these guys are going to have 3 plus 2, so they're going to roll 10 divided by 2. First 5 and second 5. Difficulty will be 6. So this is 2 different people's rolls combined.
I've got 2 successes, so they have 2 each also?
They got 3 critical successes, 2 successes, and 1 failure, so it says 4 successes, but they rolled 10s. But it's also divided. So one of them gets 10, 10, 10, 8, 7, and so you catch up to the slower of the 2, but the faster one gets away from you.
Alright, I want to attack that one.
Okay, you're going to attack him with your sword?
Yep.
Alright, roll dexterity plus melee.
Difficulty?
6. This guy is facing away from you, running in panic, so he's not dodging. So you
4
easily
successes,
catch him, critical success. So you catch him across the neck, and I'm just going to rule that you cut his head off in one clean swipe because you rolled 3, 4, 5, so whatever. You can roll damage, but yeah, you cut his head off, or at least cut it badly enough that he falls to the ground with blood spurting out of his neck.
That was my ghoul named GT, by the way. You killed GT.
Nice. He wasn't that fast.
Is anybody else up on initiative?
Lucy?
Yeah, I got nothing to do. I don't want to fight.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm gonna run up to Newell since I'm next in initiative after Lucy. I'm just gonna run up to him and pull out a small dagger that I nabbed from Lucy's jewel shop.
Oh, so
Well, I was gathering my books, lingering, and just cut my hand lengthwise as deep as I can, and just grip my palm with my supernatural strength and flow all the blood that I can into his open skull, crushed wounds, trying to stabilize.
Wait, what are you doing?
I'm just
You're-
pouring blood all over his fractured head, trying to.
You gotta pour some
Fine.
of it in his mouth, what's left of it.
Yep.
Alright, you pour blood into his mouth, what's left of it, and he begins to twitch and stir and groan slightly. However, as you're doing this, a person comes rushing out of the building, wearing all, what do you call them? Coveralls, pull-ups, what do you call suspenders. And he's wearing like a straw hat, and he's got a white beard, he's missing a bunch of teeth, and he looks like he's on like meth or crack or something, and he's got a shotgun in his hand. And he's aiming at Shad, who's like doing this. He's gonna try and fire it at you.
Okay.
Yeah. So he has 2 points in dexterity and 1 point in firearms. So he's going to roll 3 and a difficulty 6.
Nice.
So one
Failed.
success.
And what's
Whoa.
the soak is my
One
stamina.
success.
Two of those
You
popped
could-
up at once.
Sorry?
2 of those popped up at once. You had a fail, like 3 fails, and then you had 1 success simultaneously.
Well, no,
Ah.
this is. I rolled 2 7s and a 1.
No, like 820
What's the
and
DC to
820.
soak?
2 of them popped up immediately.
I don't know what you mean.
The first one was failure, and the second one was 1 success.
Yeah.
What's the
There's
DC for
one-
soak?
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh.
Look right above it.
Oh, I see. I rolled it
Like-
twice.
Yeah. Like,
All right, well, whatever. So he fires off wildly over your head, being on drugs and crazy. So the shotgun blast like parts your hair a little bit. You feel the wind go over your head, but it misses you.
I just like look over at him stubbornly and continue to tend to Newell. We have more to
Newell.
talk about.
Newell continues to groan and twitch, and some of the damage to his head slowly seems to like supernaturally stitch itself slowly together, but he's pretty messed up. Is anybody
next?
else going to do anything?
Newell and Nash are next.
Yeah, it's Newell's turn if he's taking a turn.
Yeah, I don't think Newell's gonna come too, is he? Like, doesn't it take like weeks to do this? Kind of bring him back from incapacitated?
Well, he had his head like squashed by a giant hammer, so his brains are all pulped up.
So Nash,
So-
I'm stabilizing him. It's your turn.
Okay, is that
You can
one
also
guy
roll
that-
like medical if anyone has like a medical skill to try and do like first aid on him.
Is that one guy that was shooting at you, Shad? Is he nearby?
Yeah, he's on the
Yeah,
porch in
he's
front
like
of me.
standing there blasting at you with the shotgun, hollering, swearing.
I have 3 medical.
Alright, well, I'm just gonna, like, go after him. Like frenzy, basically. I'm gonna freak the fuck out and I'm gonna scream.
Don't charge at him.
Yeah, I'm screaming Ellie, by the way.
Okay, so roll like athletics first to like close the distance if you want to attack him because he's like shooting at you from. Well, actually, he's not that far away, so you can just run over and slash at him. That's fine.
Okay, I run over and slash him.
Roll your attack. And if you want to do medical assistance, you can roll that too, Dacian. Roll like a medical skill check.
Difficulty?
Rules
Difficulty,
lawyering, I
like-
don't. I
What?
don't. Just out of character, I don't think medical checks work on vampires, but you wouldn't necessarily know that.
All right.
So, the hick in the bib overalls, the suspenders with the straw hat on, I did a hit on him. I did like 3 damage.
All right. So you slash him across his forearms and chest and open up some big cuts on him, and he starts screaming even more intensely and like frothing at the mouth and cocking his shotgun again.
Alright, whose turn is it next?
Who? Who's up next?
I rolled 2 critical failures on medical.
Alright, so you're unable to do anything with this mangled mess. It's beyond your knowledge of medicine. Who's up next?
Gallon.
Me. Did you guys kill? I didn't hear if you killed the shotgun guy or not.
No,
It's not that good.
he's still
Um,
alive.
Can I get back to that guy?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Alright. I'd like to try to attack that guy.
Okay, go for it. Dexterity plus melee, difficulty 6.
5 successes, 2 great successes.
Okay, roll damage.
Jeez. 7. 3 successes, 1 great success, whatever that's worth.
Wait, did
5
you add all
plus
your...
some extra successes. Yeah,
Oh wait,
no,
hold on. Plus my
you
4
cut
extra.
the guy down
So
with a
7.
grievous wound. You cut him down with a grievous wound. His bowels spill it over his knees, and he manages one last curse and then flops over dead.
Cal
So you've now
shot.
killed him.
Cal shot. Yeah, I'm trying to look at the werewolf and be like, ah.
You've killed all the rodeo ghouls. The night is suddenly quiet after all the gunshots and chaos and screams. There's just some steaming corpses on the ground.
I'm gonna exit the van now.
Did we pick all them up?
No. I hop out of the van, coming out of my trance, and I just look around, seeing the fact that everybody is already dead, at least all the different ghouls, and I spot Newell with his head bashed open. What the fuck happened? How long was I out? I'm gonna walk towards the group.
Nash is just kind of like shaking and not breathing heavy.
I'm gonna read Nash's mind.
Okay, roll aspects or whatever.
Can I contest that?
No, get out of here.
You can roll like a will. You can roll a willpower check to contest it.
Difficulty?
To read his mind, 6,
Let's go.
and then you can roll to resist with difficulty 7. Actually, difficulty 8 because
I'm
she
gonna
has
say-
aspects for it.
Failed.
I'm gonna... Okay.
You're good.
You try to read Nash's mind, but all you get is a sensation of violence and bloodlust.
Like,
He's
Cal's
in a
gonna look back at
frenzy-like
Lucy and
state.
go, where were you?
something happened. I don't know. I was in the car and then I wasn't, and then I'm back, and then you guys this, and she just motioned.
Well, you have memories of having more of your prophetic dreams, but this time they happened as like a vision. Your like eyes rolled back in your head, and you started seeing visions.
I start explaining that to them. I'm like, my dreams. You know the dreams I've been having? I just had a dream while I was awake. I didn't
You had a dream about wolves, eating people outside of oil factories and forests burning and pollution going up into the air.
I start explaining that to them of the wolves and the specific location that I saw in the factory.
In any case, there's no further sign of life in the ranch right now other than the horses and cows and some dogs that come over and start licking the dead rodeo clowns or whatever they are. Rodeo ghouls.
I'll go and help Nash, or help Shad try to stabilize by giving him some blood as well.
So you guys are just like feeding blood to the dead Newell, trying to keep him from dying?
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's say that by your combined feeding, he manages to gain 1 point of health and is now like in a torpor, but he's like stabilized so he won't permanently die.
Well, I say to Callan as he comes up, it's probably better to keep him alive. Don't imagine he'll be particularly happy when he comes to, and I suppose that he won't be particularly happy that we are assuming control of this ranch, but I'm sure there's plenty he knows, and plenty he can still be a resource for us. And I assume at this point, Nash is walking up as well.
No, I left and went around the corner. I'm shaking and I'm just kind of muttering to myself, to be honest.
I'll just say to Shad, can't be sure who to trust or distrust these days. I'd like to hear his side of the story at some point.
Indeed, I'm not so sure what our friend wants to do, but let's find a nice, quiet, safe place where he won't hurt himself if he does wake up. Say as I grab one arm and begin to drag Newell into the mansion.
Yeah, I'll follow.
I'm
Go inside the mansion, check it out.
steps ahead of them and I open the door for them as they drag his body in.
So the inside of the mansion is very well lit. There's a big chandelier made of like moose and elk antlers, and there's like a bunch of animal like hunting trophy heads on all the walls, and everything's like it's like a big like log cabin-esque vibe inside with like a big fireplace and like a staircase rising up to a second level where you can see some doors. You don't see anybody else inside.
Is there any basement here?
You look around and find a door that leads downstairs to some kind of basement.
What's in the basement?
You go down into the basement and you find a whole bunch of boxes of food, some alcohol, some ammunition, a few firearms.
Perfect. I say, have the others grab these things and move them out of here. I'll set up my study here, and Newell's respite as well. So I spend some time assisting with that, as well as like trying to drag down like a big table, find a nice lamp, get a bed down there, and make sure Newell's tied up nice and tight. Hopefully there's some materials around the ranch that some of which Newell has brought on our previous adventures to tie down large animals and use those to secure him.
There's a silver lariat in one place, by the
You
way.
have no problem finding some ropes and bindings, and you tie up the incapacitated and torpid Newell and put him on a table and strap him down, or a bed.
I want to see if I can find Newell's room and investigate there to see if there's any indication of why there may be bad blood between him and Nash. Maybe a journal, perhaps. Anything that
Okay.
maybe.
Well, do you
thought-keeping
go
or-
up the stairs?
Sure, I'll just walk around
You
until
go
I
up the
find what looks
stairs.
like Newell's
You
room.
see 3 rooms. There's a bathroom and 2 bedrooms. You open the first bedroom, and it's like a really nice, like, giant bed. Really luxurious. Big painting on the wall of a full moon over a lake. Nothing out of the ordinary. You look at the next room, and it's like an office. It's like got books all against the walls. More hunting trophies up against the back of the wall. Big mahogany desk. It's got like old school crystal decanters of like brown alcohol on it.
I'll check in the drawers of the desk, see if there's any
Okay.
personal belongings or effects or note keeping or journals or anything like that.
You find in the desk another decanter of brown alcohol, firearm, and a journal or a book of some kind, as well as a couple photographs. A few of them are people you don't recognize, but one of them is unrecognizably Nash Westergaard, although he looks different in the picture. He's wearing different kinds of clothes and like different facial hair.
I'll slide the pictures in into the journal, and the journal into my trench coat for now, and kind of wander about the house looking for a place that we might be shielded from the sun.
I want to explore the house as well using my Auspex to see if anything catches my eye around the space.
So you look around and you notice one thing on the walls that has a weird aura about it and is just also bizarre to look at. It looks kind of like a boar's head on the wall with all the other trophies. It looks kind of like mutated. It's got like extra tusks, and some of the tusks are like growing out through its like the top of its head. And it looks kind of like something's wrong with it. It's kind of an mutated, ugly looking head. You look around. Other than that, you can roll Auspex, I guess, and see if you can detect anything else.
On it. What is the difficulty?
We'll say 7.
Okay. I have 2 successes.
So you look around the house, and you manage to find a strange artifact. It's a clock on the wall, and you don't know what about it might be significant. It's a small clock, but it's very antique and very like complex looking, with like very complex like clockwork mechanisms on it. And you sense there's something unusual about it, but you're not sure what. It's decorated with like suns and moons and stars and stuff like that.
Can I take it off the wall?
Yeah, it's only about the size of like a small hand mirror. I don't
Okay.
know.
I'm gonna go ahead and pluck it off the wall and kind of just look at it as I continue to just walk around.
You don't really notice anything else out of the ordinary. It's a nice, well-appointed ranch. There's food, alcohol in abundance. It's very well appointed. It seems like whoever lived here was quite wealthy, and this is where they lived. But you don't see any more signs of life, other than you notice that there's a back door that's wide open, and you see footprints through the ground outside leading away.
I'm gonna follow those footprints.
Okay. Well, you see that the footprints go off into the distance, and you can kind of tell that whoever left was probably running at great speed, so they might have already gotten some ways ahead of you.
I go ahead and go back in to the place, trying to find where other people are gathered. I go downstairs to talk to Shad and let him know that I noticed footprints outside, that we should be wary that somebody might be around.
I look longingly at my books and quizzically over at the now torpored Newell Boone. So yes, that is a good idea. We should check the perimeter and make sure that nobody who saw the events has escaped.
So you guys have now essentially cleared the ranch as far as you know. And basically, it's up to you what you want to do now.
The guy that I took the 3 points of blood from, did that like knock him out, or did he go and run off somewhere?
You could say that when you drank 3 points of blood from him, he lost consciousness from shock.
Alright, I'll drag him downstairs and tie him up too. And then go back and investigate those other footprints.
We'll assume you guys work together to do this. You don't need rolling strength checks or anything. The footprints, again, you can see the door was left wide open, and you can see faint impressions of footprints off into the distance towards like the tree line, as though someone may have escaped and run out the back door, but you can't be sure. But this place is also out in the middle of nowhere. Like there's no like other houses or buildings around this ranch. It's just wilderness.
Alright, I'm gonna start sprinting and following the footsteps.
Okay, so roll.
Perhaps Kevin may have a keen nose for tracking down anybody who may have run away.
Yeah, so I go ahead and transform into Hispo form, which is in between Kronos and Lupus, and I head in that direction, tracking him.
Okay, if you want to roll like a tracking, you could do like survival plus perception. If you want to do like just chasing, then you can do like athletics plus dexterity, I guess. So Shad, if you're just going to chase, then roll athletics plus dexterity.
Six successes, 3 of them great successes.
1, 2, 3, 4 successes. So you get more. So this guy runs quite quickly and manages to put a good bit of distance between himself and the scene of the killings. But running super fast after him, you soon see the guy running in the distance, and you close the distance, and it seems to be another guy dressed in the same rodeo outfit as the other ghouls. And he's like fleeing in panic. Yeah.
Real quick, I saw them all run off, right?
Except for me.
well-
I stayed back with the journal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in any case, the
where's
guy
Newell?
also has a
Newell
gun
is in the
his hand.
basement, tied up.
He's strapped up and dead, basically. So
All right, I'm gonna
anyways,
go down there and drink his blood. No, so anyways, this
If you,
gotta
if
drink
you drink his
fucking blood.
blood, you're gonna kill him. But that's another story.
I'm
For
doing
now,
it.
Chad, you chase the rodeo guy down. He's got a gun in his hand, but he's not even looking back. He's just running full speed. So you come up behind him.
And I also have a specialization in stealth called silent movement. So should I try to roll that to see if I'm making any noise?
If you want to move silently, sure.
What's the DC given I'm also sprinting?
6. He's running into terror.
1 success. So I'm
Alright, so you
silently
managed
moving
to-
up behind him, and I just get as close as I can to him so I can almost whisper rather than call out. Where do you think you're going?
He starts with like a yell of fear and starts turning around with a pistol in his hand, like wide-eyed and trying to bring it to bear on you.
I attempt to move out of its way and knock it out of his hand with my staff.
Okay, roll like dexterity plus melee. Difficulty 7 to knock it out of his hands with your staff.
3 successes, one of them a great success. Actually,
Okay,
no,
so
just
you
3
swing
successes.
you swing your staff and hit him directly on the pistol and knock it cleanly out of his hands onto the ground, and he's like panicking.
And you said there's somebody else in the area?
No, this is the only guy that was running away. You caught up to him.
I say, we're friends of Newell's. It may not seem like it, but I can promise you we won't kill you tonight if you come with me.
He's like, panicking and trying to like run away again. If you start talking to him,
I just shrug and tackle him and suck out all this blood that I can.
okay, so just do like a dexterity plus brawl, difficulty 6, to grab him and feed on him by force.
4.
4 successes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you grab onto him, pin him down, bite him in the neck, and drink his blood. How much blood do you drink?
I drink 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that really all I need? 4 points of blood. I guess that's all I used. But let's just say I drank 4 points of blood.
All right, he passes out from the blood loss and the fear.
And then I begin dragging him back to the ranch.
He's pretty far away, so it's gonna take a little while.
Since
Right.
I didn't leave, can I see Nash kind of coming down to try to, bite Newell or whatever?
What now?
I'm trying to intercept, or like be where Nash is. Like, I didn't leave. When those guys went after the.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're,
so
you're upstairs, right?
Yeah. Do I see Nash?
No, Nash
Do I
went down into the basement with Newell while you were upstairs in the office getting the photographs out of the
Sure,
dead.
fair enough.
So, Chad is dragging the body back by the feet towards the cabin. Newell goes downstairs, or Nash goes downstairs and finds Newell's mutilated, torpid body strapped to a bed.
So, yeah, and do you want me to talk about this or?
Well, what are you gonna do?
Well, Nash is just like shaking and he's muttering something about Ellie and Jessica, and yeah, he goes and he tries to literally drain Newell's soul out of his body.
So you're gonna commit diablerie.
Yeah, he's like,
Okay.
and apparently it's an extended action, and difficulty 9, and I gotta get a bunch of successes.
Okay.
Basically, I just keep going at it.
I'd like to wander in at some point on this.
Well, you're coming down the stairs from the upstairs to the main floor, but right now Newell's in the basement and he's sunk his teeth into the
I think I was on
corpse
the
of
main
Newell.
floor because I suggested the wolf track the footsteps.
All right. Well, in any case, you're now going down to the basement, but before you do, Newell gets his chance to drain the blood out of
All
Newell.
So,
Good luck.
So yeah, I can't do it all in one go, so I'm gonna try this right now. Boom. I got 1 success. It was a crit success. Can we just claim that's 2?
Mm-hmm.
All
How
right.
many do you need?
Well, his full HP pool. So,
But he's already dead, basically.
I mean, yeah, you basically just got to go from the beginning. So basically, I've taken 2 out of 7 successes needed.
Okay. So, anyways, as Nash is feeding on Newell, Callan comes downstairs and sees what's happening. That he's biting him and drinking his blood.
I am also going to wander downstairs because I did not follow
Okay.
the wall.
Yeah. So you go down first, actually, and you see what's happening, and Callan's following behind you.
I'm gonna make a roll to dominate Nash.
I am not looking anywhere near you, son. I am focused on my Newell.
I'm going to try to read your mind while you're doing it. With these people.
Okay, does dominate require eye contact?
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Okay, well, he's not looking at you.
Although,
If it requires eye contact.
all right, cool. Then I'll.
If it's just voice, then that's another question. But
Yeah, fine. Then I'll go and try to like jerk him off of him so he looks at me. It sounded terrible. It sounded bad. Yeah.
Let's get the
I'll try
mind roll
to.
in.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Whatever. I don't know.
I want to read the mind.
All right, well, try to take your action.
who's trying to do what right now? Let's do Estremia's thing first, I guess.
All right. Cool. Fine.
Roll your aspects to try and read
What's the
Nash's
difficulty?
mind. 6.
Okay.
He's not trying to defend his mind right now. He's too busy feeding on the soul.
I have 1 success.
So you get the impression that he is trying to consume Newell completely.
Newell, is there anything that you would also glean by probing the outskirts of your mind? Or Nash?
I mean, she's gonna see like snippets of me meeting Newell at a bar back in the day, of me taking him back to my house and introducing him to my wife and daughter. Several, weeks, us hanging out together, having a good time. Him, siring me and turning me into a vampire. Him, like, literally, sleeping with my wife, turning human enough to sleep with my wife and, banging her. And then, it gets a lot murkier and darker, and there's a bunch of red streaks, and you just see, Nash literally, like, biting into the neck of his wife and a young girl, and, now you see him in a gutter, and there's this, alcohol involved, and now you see him, like, in the middle of the woods, and he's just completely, downtrodden and stuck in the literal mud, going protean, like, sleeping for a long time in the mud. And yeah, eventually you see him dusting himself off and finding hikers and, drinking their blood and, slowly regaining his sanity after frenzying and killing his wife and daughter due to the manipulation of Newell Boone, who sired and, did a bunch of manipulation stuff to Nash.
I'm gonna go
Alright, so
ahead.
you managed to get
I'm gonna
a
go
huge-
ahead and lay my hand on Kellen's arm because I can see that he's wanting to stop whatever is happening, and I just kind of shake my head after seeing what I see.
All right. I kind of changed my mind on what I'm going to do here. Rather than try to be dominating, like command dominate, I'm going to try to mesmerize dominate. So I'll grab a hold of Nash, and pull him off, I guess, of Newell, and get him to look at me.
Okay, which, wait, is that a hold or, what are you doing?
I'm basically like pulling you off of him to look at me while This doesn't even have to be. This doesn't even have to be. Okay, yeah, it does. It needs to be maintain eye contact.
Oh yeah, no, I am resisting this completely.
All right, so whatever. Let him resist. But what's the rolls here?
You like
You're trying to
strength
physically
versus-
rip them off. Yeah, just do like strength.
Now,
Strength, do a contested roll, I guess.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
so what are we doing? 5 and 5. I should take away 2 dice though, because it says here like when you're diablerizing someone, like attacks against you are like -2. So we'll account that.
But Callan also got screwed up in the bus, right? And I think you might have too. So you guys have some negative points unless you spend blood points to heal him.
Yeah, I healed. I was messaging Nola about that earlier.
Okay, so what are we doing? 5 pool, 5 difficulty. What's your strength, Callan?
Strength is 5 and brawl is 4.
Okay. So are we doing this just strength against strength, or what do you want to do, Shogun?
I'll let
Or do you want
Shogun
brawl?
decide whatever he wants to do.
Well, first of all, I just want to point out that if I understood correctly, Astramio Lucy was trying to tell you not to interfere, just so you know that, if that was correct. But if you do want to physically wrench him off,
Is
let's
that
just do
right,
it.
Lucy? I don't know.
Yeah, I
Not
was shaking my
interfere?
head at you
Oh.
to. Yeah, that.
Oh, anyway. I'll ignore that. I get the wrong impression, and I do what I was going to do.
Okay. So you can just roll contested strength checks, because you're
Alright.
not like trying to fight. You're just trying to physically rip him off, but he's trying to hold on with all his might and keep sucking the soul out of Newell Boone.
So should we just do
He's
both
in
of
a
our
diablerist
strength
frenzy
against
right
six,
now.
or what?
He's revered into the beast level. and
Sure.
He's just trying to eat this guy's soul.
Do you
So
want to do
contested strength.
I'm botched. It doesn't matter.
You botched. Okay,
Yep.
so
I
you
got
try
that.
and wrench him off, but because he's in such a feeding frenzy, he's extra strong, and he's just like latched on with an iron grip and got his teeth sunk into the neck of the what remains of Newell Boone.
That's too bad. That would have been
All
cool.
right, can I go ahead and take my next Diablerist attack?
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
There's.
There's nobody else to stop you.
All right. Well, I used 1 willpower for that, and I got a 10.
Okay. So you have how many successes now?
Well, Callan pointed out that I used a willpower, but I had a 1 and a 10. So does that cancel it out? I used a willpower, so I got an automatic
Jesus.
success.
If you have a 1 and a 10, you have 1 normal success.
Okay. So
Wait, what was the DC 9? Why is it DC 9?
for Diablerie, it's DC.
It's always 9?
Well, that's what it says on here.
Okay. Didn't know
Maybe.
that. This is exciting. Oh, sorry.
So yeah, no, I'm gonna go ahead and or we count that as 1 success.
Sure.
All right, so I'm gonna count the last one because it was the same deal as another 1 success. So yeah, so he's at 2 points now.
I used a willpower point also.
Yeah, both times the same thing happened. Yeah, I
All
got
right.
that.
Well, you continue to slowly drink the soul of Newell Boone, and as you do, you get flashes of his memories and his life kind of pass your consciousness, but you're more overwhelmed by the intoxicating feeling of drinking kindred blood.
I see him out in the desert with Native Americans. I see him chasing around werewolf in this crazy land, and and I see him as a soldier. I see all kinds of random things out of Newell's past. All right, what next? What's Shad doing? What's Kevin doing?
Like
I mean,
a
if
mile away,
nobody's-
dude.
If nobody's gonna stop you from doing your diablerie, you might as well just assume. Hey,
If
you're
I can get another
slowly-
shot at it, I'll try again.
slowly and steadily succeeding. If you want to keep rolling, you can.
Yeah, I want to try again.
To stop him.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing right now, Shad?
Still dragging the body back. I'm way away. I don't know any
Okay,
of this
well,
is going on.
you got back now with the body at this point to the back door that you came out of.
I'm gonna.
The guy's like waking up though because you didn't kill him, so he's starting to wake up.
Let's see here.
I'm just dragging him down the stairs to put him with the other ones.
I'm gonna use
His
3 blood
head,
points
like,
as well.
bounces on the stairs on the way down.
Clunk,
He gets knocked
clunk,
out again.
Clunk.
Kind of look
Yeah.
over my shoulder. Stop.
You drag another body down to the basement, which is beginning to resemble some kind of morgue or house of horrors.
And I see Nash, or is it around a corner from me, or?
All right, I rolled. Did you roll? Is that yours, Nash?
Nash is latched onto the corpse of Newell Westergaard like a leech, just like fiendishly sucking blood.
So
I rolled-
is that
I rolled-
your strength?
Yeah, I blood pool boosted
Blood pulled
to
it.
8. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna
so I
go
got
ahead
3
and try that.
successes.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to resist that. I
3
also
to 3.
got, but I got a 10 and a.
Dude, plus a 10. Yes,
Oh
dude.
my gosh.
You continue to try and wrestle him off, but he's just like fiendishly obsessed with sucking this blood. He's in a frenzied state. It's like reverted to an animalistic state. So you get whatever. Roll some more diablerie rolls.
All right, I'm gonna do another diablerie roll.
Chad arrives with the last body and thumps him onto the floor of the basement.
As I make it down the stairs and see this scene unfolding, I'm obviously aware that Nash is trying to commit diablerie, and I sit back with a hand on my chin, watching intently.
Okay, well, I use that willpower point, but I've got 1, so yeah, that's 3 diablerie damage I've done to Newell so far.
And how many do you need to do? Like one for each point of his health?
7. Yeah, 7.
All
Even though
right,
he's
let's keep
almost
rolling,
dead
bro.
already.
If I rolled this good, if I rolled like 4 9s, I could finish it.
Okay, well, continue your struggle to suck the
Let's
soul
go.
out of Noel Boone.
Oh, 1 success. This is so bad.
What is
This is so bad.
Oh, that's strength.
Damn, dude, 3 ones.
This is so bad. Let's go. All right.
Oh, I
Yep.
doubled.
Did I break you off there or what?
You rolled 3 ones.
Yeah, but he got 0. I have 1 success.
Alan had 1 success, Nash had 0 successes.
Well, I'm gonna, because you rolled 3 critical failures, I'm gonna roll that you managed to like partially pull him off, but he's still sucking blood. You didn't manage to get him completely disconnected.
And he got 0
I'm
success.
gonna walk over while this is happening, and I can see that like Callan is obviously trying to pull him off, and I start talking to Nash because I saw into his mind. I'm trying to break away his gaze at least for a moment so Callan can complete whatever he can. So using the information that I've gathered from his memories, I start asking him about Newell, and then I bring up his wife and his daughter, hoping that it'll jar him out of his animalistic state.
I think I'm in a frenzy, and I think all I hear is the heartbeat of my dying wife and daughter as I drain them. But I'm in a frenzy, so Shogun's ultimately in control
Alright.
if I attack or do whatever, I think.
So I partially pulled him off. What does that mean though?
It just means that like you partially loose
You
him,
got him
but
like
you
in a
didn't
full
get his
Nelson,
teeth.
but he's still on the body, kind of
He's
thing.
still biting. You got part of his body pulled apart and separated, but his teeth are still latched into the guy's neck. So you need 1 more success to get him off. So that being said,
Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and take
Crazy.
my Doppler roll, unless Shad's doing something. I don't know what he's up to.
Oh, I'm watching intently.
with your dick in your
Alright,
hand.
I'm using
No,
willpower
my
for-
staff in my hand, sir.
Let's go! Fucking 3 successes. Oh, that, like, I just,
Let's
like,
go.
massive download of his life. I'm even seeing stuff, like, recently. I'm, like, seeing you guys and stuff.
You get more of his memories. How many diablerie points did you get now?
I am 1 away from,
1
you
away.
know, finishing him.
Can you
Oh, here
spend
we
1
go.
willpower to do it?
It's clutch time. No.
Can you spend a willpower to do it?
To do what? Oh, I've been
Get
using
one more
willpower
success.
every time. I used a willpower right here to get that.
All right, okay. So one last chance to pull him off if
All right,
you want
let's
to
go.
prevent this from happening.
All the wins. All right, 3 successes. What do you got?
All right, I'm going to use a willpower against this, by the way. And I'm going to roll my 5.
You can also boost your strength by using blood points.
I did.
I can.
Why
Because
not?
I think the
Low
max I can go
It's a
to,
low-
yeah,
it's a
low
low
gen. I
gen,
think I can
yeah.
go with 5.
Not after this, he won't be.
Who knows? Probably not. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and use let me use willpower true on this. Difficulty, boom. 5 successes,
Dude,
buddy.
terrible.
Alright, I
There
am
you
gonna go ahead and try Diablerie one last time on Newell Boone. And
Fail.
I'm using a willpower point. After this, I will have 1 willpower point left, so I'm gonna
You
be
should
like
get-
totally fucking drained.
You should get a restoration of willpower after this because this is like your main like character arc,
Alright, so
and
let's
that's
go.
how character arcs are replenished.
Alright,
or
4
how willpower points are
successes. He is drained dry, bud.
So you complete the fiendish act of Diablerie, the most heinous of vampire crimes, and drink not only the vitae but the very soul of Newell Boone. And he kind of crumples into ashes, leaving behind like a skeleton with like paper-thin, brittle skin over it, left behind like a mummy sort of thing, dried up. It's a hideous sight, but you are overwhelmed with dark exhilaration and evil ecstasy as you drink the soul of another conscious entity. And I guess you can raise your generation by 1 or lower it by 1. So we'll just assume that Newell Boone had a older generation than you.
He was Generation 8, wasn't he?
I don't know.
He was 13.
No, I was like the
Oh.
default generation.
Uh-oh.
You're the older generation or younger?
I think both my characters were the default generation, to be honest.
Well,
Well, you should at least get one because obviously
yeah.
Newell Boone
whatever.
is Sire
You-
Nash. So
You can lower your generation point by 1 from committing the Diablerie. However, you must automatically lose 1 point of humanity. You get no roll to prevent it.
let's go, dude.
That's what I was trying to prevent, but oh well.
And I just want to say this really quick. So as I let go and I realize that Callan's behind me and bugging me, like I hear my wife and daughter laughing, and then they shriek, and like literally in my memory, I hear them laughing, and then I hear them like scream, like breaking glass, and a tear just goes down my vampire eye, pure blood. And then yeah, I'm like back in reality, like what the fuck is up?
Alright, well, you've committed Diablerie and increased the potency of your blood by doing so. And also made yourself potentially a target for retribution from kindred justice, but then again, there's no survivors or witnesses other than those gathered here. So, you look around at each other and the scene, the bodies strapped to the gurneys, the grievous wounds, the blood feast that has just occurred. And what do you do?
What's
I kneel
the-
down next to Nash and I say, "Did it work?"
What's the
And I-
ground look like? I just kind of nod at Shaddy Boy. Do I sense Newell's like mind or soul in my body right now? Because I know that's kind of a thing.
Well, you get like a bunch of impressions of memories and emotions that flood through you, like you see his life flash before your eyes as a series of still images and short video type clips that you witness from a third person perspective as you drank his soul, but it all kind of is like ephemeral and kind of starts to vanish from your mind like a dream, but you retain a lot of it.
What's the floor like that I'm standing on?
It's just like a concrete floor.
For the record, this thing says, upon successful completion of Diablerie, the Diablerist is overwhelmed by euphoria and a self-control/instincts roll is necessary. Difficulty 10 minus the character's humanity or path rating to avoid losing control.
Alright, well, you've lost 1 point of humanity, so now roll your control roll to not continue to be in like a bestial state.
Alright, again, what was the DC?
10 minus your humanity, which went down by 1.
Also says the sensations akin
The
to
difficulty's 10 minus my humanity, or is the difficulty?
right minus your humanity.
And
or
minus
path
your
rating.
humanity.
Oh, okay, so I'm at 6 humanity, so it'd just be 4?
Yeah. That's to stop you from like being a complete
So 6...
ravaging monster, I guess.
So you roll your control,
Alright,
your
I got one.
controlled dice
Control
pool.
or instincts.
That's just, yeah, it's the same thing. You're not on an instinct path,
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
your self-control pool against a DC of 4.
Oh, it's the self-control and not the humanity?
Yeah, the
Self-control,
humanity is
like,
the DC, the
10 minus
pool is the
humanity.
self-control.
Okay, let me re-roll that then, as the pool is 4, because that's what my self-control is, and then the difficulty is also 4. So, let's see if this works. It does
I mean,
not-
honestly, the first roll was a success. One success on the first roll from the first 4 die, but either way.
Let's see.
Adjudicator?
You got one success. You got one success. Is that what happened?
Barely pulls himself back from the edge, kind of thing.
Did he get one success?
Well, that's what we're asking you. He rolled wrong. So the first roll he did, he was supposed to do 4 against a DC of 4. The first roll
Okay.
he did was 6. The first 4 dice from that would have been a 1 success. Then he rolled again, and it was 0 successes.
I'm going to adjudicate that you maintain an bestial frenzy and jump toward Chad, trying to diabolize him as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, you rolled one success, right? On the one that mattered, and then you just rolled the second one by accident.
No, he rolled the second one because he did the wrong amount of dice the first time. So he, rather than use the dice
But
from
he
the
got
first
no
one.
successes on the second roll.
Hey,
No
what if we
successes
look
on
at
the
the
second one.
first
Right, so you
4
failed. So
dice
you're-
on the first
you're
one?
so
The
over-
first
you're
4
so-
dice. 1, 2, 3,
You're
4.
so no.
I
you-
did it.
I've decided you're so overwhelmed by the euphoria of the diablerie that you just want to commit it again immediately. So you lunge at Chad.
All right, can I get a dodge roll?
Yeah. So you roll like an attack, like it's a dexterity plus brawl or something like that, and Chad can roll a dodge roll, dexterity plus dodge or whatever.
Probably
5
Dex
successes,
Athletics or
one of them
something.
is great.
6
Oh my God.
successes.
Yeah, that would be like a strength plus brawl to try to hold me down, I think.
But he's got to grab you with dexterity plus brawl. I
Dex plus brawl, okay.
think so.
Nash.
What am I rolling?
Dex plus brawl.
Dexterity plus brawl, yeah.
Difficulty?
6.
6, yeah.
6 successes, 2 of them great.
Uh-oh.
So he got more than you.
Yep.
Okay, so you managed to grab Chad as he tries to dodge out of the way, but you're a little bit quicker and you grab onto him by his arms and his shoulder. So roll like a bite attack, I guess.
Let me double check what that. Does anyone have that chart open?
It's like damage
Why?
plus 1,
Dex brawl.
damage plus 1.
A bite attack is Dex Brawl. Yep.
And then
What's the DC for
DC?
seconds?
Yeah, that'll be. I think it'd be
I think
higher,
it's-
wouldn't it?
I think it's just 6, right?
Oh yeah, I guess if I'm just attacking you regular. Well, if it's your neck, it should be 8.
Fuck, are you kidding me?
I guess I'm gonna deal damage.
Oh my goodness.
Is
So
that the 2? Is that the 2 hit?
that's 17 dice.
Did you bite his neck?
He got 8 successes, one of them great.
Oh wait, no.
Okay,
It's
so
a-
we're not
5
doing this for
plus-
damage though, because you're not trying to hurt him, you're trying to feed on him. So you successfully sink your teeth into his
Right.
neck. He takes 1 point of damage, whatever, but now you can begin feeding on him. And Chad has to roll like a willpower check to like resist. Euphoria.
Yeah, just spend a
Okay,
willpower point.
Sure. So
Okay.
then you can resist if you want.
I'm gonna spend a
Roll
willpower
it.
point and say, "My blood is far too potent for you. Wake up, gain control of yourself."
So Nash, you can now roll like a willpower check with a difficulty 8 to snap out of it.
I use all my willpower, or just the ones I have left.
Just ones you have left.
That's not good, guys. I used all my willpower.
I'll take an action if he fails. Yeah.
Yeah, I failed.
Alright.
Alright, so the euphoric feeling of drinking Shad's blood only fuels the dark frenzy that you're in and further solidifies your desire to drink his soul as well. So you consume 1 point of blood automatically.
We got a 15 blood pool, so it's gonna take a while.
Alright, I'm gonna try to grab a hold of him again, like essentially from like I want to get in between him and Shad and like kind of press him apart, like while holding his shoulders or whatever. So I'm gonna make a roll here. Oh my god, this guy's so bad. Alright, 2 successes.
Okay, so roll to resist Nash because you're still in the frenzy. So you clamped onto your new target like a lamprey. And you're trying to suck everything you can out of Shad as quickly as possible.
Strength?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Contested
roll.
strength with 2 successes there.
4 successes.
Jeez.
I just like throw you off with my arm.
I'm gonna look at Lucy and say, Lucy, you gonna lend a hand ever?
She's just kind of watching, just in shock, like looking at the pile that was Newell, and then watching Nash go after Shad. She kind of gets a twisted smile. She's like, I don't know, I think he deserves it.
You could be next.
Maybe I'll... And she starts like backing up a bit, but she's already, I don't know what I can do.
You know what? What are you doing?
I'm gonna start talking to Nash again. I'm gonna see if I can jump into his mind and into his memories with reading it. Is that some? I don't know if that's a part of it, but I feel like if I'm in memories.
Go ahead. Try to telepathically communicate with him if you want.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
Jean Grey. Just do some Jean Grey stuff.
Yeah. Cool. What's the difficulty? I'm gonna spend some willpower points too.
The difficulty is 7 to reach him because he's so frenzied right now in his animalistic state.
I'm gonna spend 2 willpower points. Difficulty, you said is 7? 8?
7.
Okay, I got 4 successes.
So you managed to telepathically insert your consciousness into his mind as he's feeding. What do you say to him?
I start talking with him. I recall his wife's name, Jessica.
Ellie.
Ellie. I start talking to him. I'm like, Nash, this is not how Ellie would want you to act. You need to break out of this. You have more self-control than this. Snap out of it.
Alright, we'll say that Nash gets one more chance to snap out of it, but he's already drained 2 points of Shad's blood. And now
What
you
am I
have to roll on it. You got to roll a willpower on a difficulty 7 because her telepathic message made it easier.
What happens if
Need
you have no
1/7.
willpower?
Do you have like
You're
resolve
surrendered
or
to the beast,
something?
I think. Yeah.
You got 0 willpower?
No, if I used willpower, I'd be at 0. So yeah, that would make sense.
you have-
Like,
if you have
don't-
none, I
don't
think
use
you're
your
you're
last
on beast
willpower.
fallen
You can't
beast.
lose. You can't lose your last willpower, else you'll be completely surrendered to the beast.
Alright, well, Lady Luck, be kind.
Just drink Shad's soul, dude. It'll
It's
be
a
awesome.
10! It's a 10!
110.
On 1 dice. 1 dice difficulty, it's a 10.
So you succeed in snapping out of it from Astra's telepathic prompting. You drank 2 points of Shad's blood, though, and you're now experienced some blood bond to him.
You gay.
Cute.
And
So-
you took one point of damage from that, Shad, from being bit.
I'm gonna go ahead and move Shad away from Nash and kind of motion Callan to maybe restrain Nash a bit.
I don't
I
know.
Nash
what
stand up
recovers
and-
his senses, but he's lost 1 point of humanity.
Yeah.
And most of
I
his
take a
willpower.
step back and lean on my olive wood pole and look intently at Nash, waiting for him to raise his head and come to his senses fully.
Nash, you're at 6 points of humanity.
Yes, now I am.
I'm gonna judge that because diablerie is like the worst of crimes. You lose 2 points of humanity for doing it.
Okay.
I'm gonna try since I've got a hold of him. Didn't pull him off necessarily, but since he's kind of back to senses, can I try to do a mesmerization now on him?
On Nash?
Yep.
Go ahead.
All right.
I'm kind of stunned, so it should probably be easier for him.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try manipulation plus leadership. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Oh yeah, stressful.
Are these contested or no?
You can if you want.
If you have any way to contest it, but if you're out of willpower, I don't know.
I think this. Oh, you know what? Oh man, the difficulty equals the target's current willpower.
I'm gonna roll my 1 dice then.
All right, here. Difficulty. Oh, it won't even let me do a difficulty of 1. Wow. All right, well, let's put a 2. But
It just means you're able to automatically mesmerize him.
All right, so-
Oh my god, I'm so
trained of
mesmerized.
willpower.
yeah, roll your 1 dice if you want to.
No, you got.
It won't do anything.
I'm so sufficiently.
So-
yeah.
So Callan makes eye contact with recently savage Nash, who's just come back to his senses, looks him in the eye and says, this is a hypnotic false thought that he implants into his mind. He says, all you remember is that you've avenged your family and you're at peace with the result. So he's not going to remember he did any diablerie or whatever.
My muscles kind of, relax.
Is that something you can do? Is wipe his memory?
No, I can just implant a false memory verbally.
Well, does that mean you can also erase a memory?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's up to you to decide.
So you're trying to like mesmerize
It
him
says-
into
here it
forgetting
says-
what he did.
At 5 successes or greater, the vampire can implant nearly any sort of command. What else? No matter how strong the kindred's will, his command cannot force the subject to harm himself directly or defy her innate nature.
And with how
Yeah.
drained I am of willpower, like,
No, I don't think you can erase his memory of committing diablerie. But you can give him a command that he has to follow.
We'll just retcon that out, then it's worthless. Alright, forget that.
Unless it says something there about erasing memories, but because I think he would remember what he did.
Maybe you could still do that, but he does remember what he did to avenge them, but he has a sense of peace around it where it's not as like...
Well, the whole point outside of character was if I can prevent him from remembering it, then he can't be questioned about it by others, besides us, kind of thing. But anyway.
Yeah, I think with that you can implant commands, but I don't know if you can erase memories. I might be wrong, but you can tell me.
I think it's up to the storyteller.
No, I want you to remember that you did diablerie.
Okay.
Not forget. I don't think you would forget something like that. Not just from being mesmerized. But you can give him a command.
All right, what do you do?
No, I'm not going to. We'll just retcon it out.
Well, what memory did you put in my head? What'd you do?
Well, all I was trying to do is say to you, I was trying to get rid of that, the losing the humanity thing was like kind of a big deal, so I was not going to let you dwell on that kind of thing. So, anyway,
You could honestly do something like really fuck with me, like put him in my memory that I was never here. So then I was here and I wasn't here in my memories.
nah, it's all good.
Come on, you got 5 successes. What are you gonna do? Do something cool.
I mean, if you want to rule that that's what your ability can do, then I'm fine with it. But
I'm fine with whatever you roll. That's fine. If that's
So
something
what-
you want
read-
to
read-
remember,
just
that's
read-
probably good.
Read the description of the ability that sounds like change someone's memory.
Well, it says, with this power, a vampire can verbally implant a false thought or hypnotic suggestion in the subconscious's mind. both kindred and target must be free from distraction. Since mesmerize requires intense concentration and precise wording to be effective.
I mean, what if the false thought is like you never committed diablerie? So then,
Yeah,
like,
that's
how
Actually, you know what? Forget it, because down here it says it is not useful for planting illusions or false memories. So
Oh.
Okay.
it's more of a
so you
suggestion
can't
or,
do that. So yeah, he
or
remembers what he
thought.
did.
Okay.
He knows what he did. He did it on purpose, and he remembers that he did it.
As I'm peering over to Nat, I say,
All right. How about, well,
tell me everything. Describe it in detail. And don't leave anything out.
You're a sick
I'll
fuck.
just
I just whisper, glorious.
I'm just gonna shove Nash away from me and kind of shoulder Shad on the way out of the room. Go back up to the office.
Alright, you storm off in a state of frustration to the office upstairs with the bookshelves and the desk.
I kind of stand there wringing my hands as I like look at the two. I look at Shad and I look at Nash, and I can tell Nash is not in the best state of mind, and then Shad on the other hand is so eager to learn about what he experienced that in Lucy's mind she's like, I don't want to be next. So she kind of takes a couple steps back towards the stairs, but not leaving the space.
So the guy that Shad drained blood from, who blacked out and was dragged in here, is starting to like groan and wake up on the floor, despite his like head bumps that he took on the way down the stairs. He's starting to like roll over him.
Lucy, take care of him, please.
Wow, since you asked so nicely. And Lucy just kind of walks over to the guy, checking out the wounds that he got from Shad, but also making sure that his restraints are properly adhered so he can't go anywhere.
Alright, so he's secured as well. And he's still just kind of moaning and groaning, but he's still unconscious. So do you guys want to take any other actions? Do anything else?
Yeah, we don't
The
have to
dog
RP it out, but is Nash gonna explain it to me?
What?
We don't have to RP it out since he already basically told us how it was once, but just, you know. Alright, I'm
Do
asking
you want to
you to
describe
explain to
the
me.
experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. See, I'm like so drained of willpower. Like I just, I walk outside, you know, and sit on the ground by a tree, and I just explain it all, and about how like I got all of his memories and like how euphoric and powerful I felt during it, and then yeah, what do you say to that?
I want to try something. And I like put my hand on Nash's shoulder, and this is like a level 1 thing. I guess I can roll for it, but it's not easy for me to roll right now. I'll spend a point of willpower to do it if I need to, but I want to use the first level spell of Path of Father's Vengeance, which allows me to know 2 things about any vampire that I'm touching. I think it's that I'm touching, but either way, I am touching him. So, which are 1, if he's committed any time that he has committed that diablerie, I know I get a psychic impression of who he's diablerized, and also any blood bonds that he has with anybody. So it should be Newell Boone, and on the one hand and myself on the other, unless there's anything else Nash out of character would know about his character.
No, I mean we said blood bonded to you a little bit, and other than that, yeah, it's just what's his face.
So it was your first time.
I nod.
Well, good. I'm sure the others aren't too happy about it, but it's a powerful tool, and we can use strength in our party. Little rabble that we are.
I nod at him.
But you got
and
your revenge.
I smile, a delicious smile, and I lick my fangs when you say revenge.
Do you guys want to do anything else in the ranch or before we close the session, or do you guys want to keep playing?
I'm just
That's
gonna say
it for me.
right where I am, I earth meld to the ground. Like as Shad's talking to me, I like roll over and say, I need to rest now. I just go earth meld and disappear into the ground.
Okay, you immerse yourself in the earth.
Can I pull the 2 photographs I did not recognize back out and see if there's anything written on the back or anything like that? Notations about who they might be or anything?
The 2 other pictures show people in like military uniforms in black and white. One of them has like a signature on the back, but it's like scrawled. You can't really read what it says. It's like you can't make it out.
Okay.
What did Kevin ever happen with him? He was chasing someone last week, I saw.
Yeah, well, no. I don't know. You know where you are, Kevin? We'll just say he joined back up with the party
That works.
after deducing that there was no one else out there. Sniffed around. Okay, does anyone else want to do anything or say anything before we wrap it up?
Nope.
Nope.
Alright, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
So long.
Everybody can get 7 experience points. Spend them. Check out the Temple Mount Discord server podcast on YouTube and BitChute. Temple Mount official. Good night, everyone.